This podcast of the Equine Forum is brought to you by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business. It all begins in 15 seconds right after this word from our podcast sponsor.
The University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business is now offering a graduate certificate, which can be completed in 15 or 30 weeks and be done as a standalone or used as 20% of your MBA. Classes at both the undergraduate and graduate level are forming now for August.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Hilda's passion just runs away from them all through the stretch, will win all by herself. Almost won the ballerina by 10 lengths.
AP Indian has run away to a 2.5 length lead as Stalwalk and Dude has moved up into second. Tamarco's late on the scene. He's second now, but AP Indian is coming home to victory again in the forego.
Here comes Unitarian, Arctic North between horses. Unitarian runs to the front. Javier Castellano and Unitarian are going away to win the H. Allen Jerkins by 4.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Point of entry coming down to the line. Al Kelly then moves that down toward the rail in brilliant speed. And in the Hall of Fame hands of Johnny Velasquez, and a Hall of Fame rider it was. Point of entry wins the Sword Dancer.
They're coming down for the finish. It is Essential Quality and Midnight Bourbon. Essential Quality has won the Run Happy Travers. He won the Belmont with class. He wins the Run Happy Travers with style.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everyone. Happy Travers Day. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, welcoming you to the show that launched a network. It is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires, right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Happy to have you with me right up until 11 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 162, XM 207, our affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, and streaming worldwide on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Well, it's been 109 years since a filly has captured the Travers Stakes. Her name was Lady Rhoda, and you're going to hear her story in the third hour of today's show at 10:20 Eastern as Kurt Becker takes you on another memorable stroll through racing history. Those segments so good, and today's story is one you won't want to miss. Thorpedo Anna is going to attempt to join Lady Rhoda and 6 other fillies who have won the Midsummer Derby when she squares off with her male counterparts at 6:10 Eastern Time this afternoon. And in fairness to the ladies, we don't often see a filly taking on the boys in the Travers Stakes. Since 1960, only 4 have attempted it. Cicada was dead last in 1962. Chris Everett finished third in 1974. Devona Dale, 4th in 1979. And most recently, you had Canadian Horse of the Year, Wonder Godot, who was last in 2018. That's it. Only 4 since 1960, so it doesn't come around very often, but we're going to see that today. The late NYRA handicapper and TV host, Harvey Pack, would often say, never bet a horse as the favorite being asked to do something for the first time. And I don't know if Thorpedo Anna will go off as the favorite. She is second choice on the morning line behind Belmont and Haskell winner Dornoch. But she's going to be asked to do a couple of things for the first time in her career. Number 1, face the boys. And number 2, go 1.25 miles for the first time. And I'm sure her connections would have also preferred that she didn't draw the rail. But that is the case. The point being, if Thorpedo Anna makes history today and wins the Travers, she will have earned it. And if you believe in omens, yesterday, Caitlin Her Greatness beat the boys in Canada's biggest race, the King's Plate. And much like Anna Thorp, the namesake of Thorpedo Anna, the 3-year-old filly, Caitlin Her Greatness, is named after a female athlete, that being basketball star Caitlin Clark. So if you believe in omens, maybe things are lining up for Thorpedo Anna this afternoon. And by the way, congrats to all the connections of Caitlin Her Greatness. That was a race we talked about in depth on this program last weekend. That the King's Plate was supposed to be run last Saturday, but was postponed because of weather. They canceled the card and then moved the race to yesterday, and that's where we saw history made. And for what it's worth, since 1901, 16 horses have won the Travers from post number 1. That's 4th best among all posts historically since 1901. Thorpedo Anna is also going to, if she can win it, put herself into a fantastic position in the race for Horse of the Year. I'm not talking about champion 3-year-old filly. I'm talking about Horse of the Year, because if she wins this one, she's in a great position, and her name is going to come up a lot in that conversation, especially when you consider there is no dominant older male at this point in the season. So there is an awful lot on the line for her later today. And in my opinion, you also had the potential for a horse to lock up the 3-year-old male championship in today's Travers. But only one horse can do that. If Dornoch wins the 3rd consecutive Grade 1 and once again defeats Sierra Leone in fierceness, it's case closed. Game, set, match. Checkmate. Turn out the lights. It's over. Shall I go on? You get the point. Dornoch, in my opinion, is 3-year-old champion if he can win this race today. So there are plenty of intriguing storylines tied to this 8-horse Travers field. And my poll question for you today, which horse are you going to be cheering for in today's Travers? Is it Thorpedo Anna? Are you a Dornoch fan? Do you want Dornoch to win? How about last year's juvenile champion Fierceness? And the 4th choice will be other. And if you choose that one, if you're cheering for somebody other than those 3, maybe Sierra Leone, maybe somebody else, comment with your pick and let me know who it is. You can weigh in on that poll question this morning at HRRN on our Twitter page. You can go to Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook to cast your vote, and you can do that too by emailing the show. If you're not a social media person, just email the show. Mike at horseracingradio.net. I can say that. Mike at horseracingradio.net. Which horse are you cheering for in today's Travers Stakes? Thorpedo Anna, Dornoch, Fierceness, or is it somebody else? And if you choose that one, comment with your pick. I have a feeling I know who Tim Wilkin is going to be cheering for. He's going to join me coming up after this first commercial break, right around 8:15 Eastern. You'll hear from him. We kick off Travers Morning together. We've been doing this for a lot of years. Tim is always my first guest on this show, Travers Morning. He's been up at Saratoga all meet long, as many of you know, because Tim will join me later in the show at 10:30 Eastern with Dale Romans for this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer. So a double shot at Tim Wilkin on this Travers Morning. Owner Mark Edwards and his oldest granddaughter, Anna Thorp, the namesake of Thorpedo Anna, will be with me together at 8:35 Eastern Time. That's going to be a lot of fun. 9 o'clock Eastern, Nick Zito, the Hall of Famer, who saddled the winner of the Travers Stakes 20 years ago, 2004. It's been 20 years since Birdstone won the Travers from Mary Lou Whitney. So Nick will be here at 9 o'clock to relive that moment and look back on that day. He'll also share some thoughts on John Henriksen, the husband of Mary Lou Whitney, who passed away suddenly on Monday. Nick will share some thoughts on John. He'll look back on Birdstone. That will be followed immediately by Jena Antonucci around 9:10 Eastern Time. And Jena, the trainer of last year's Travers winner, Arcangelo, 1 year ago today, she put girl power on display from the trainer's perspective. Now we'll see if Thorpedo Anna can do it on the horse side of things later today. But we'll look back on last year's victory 1 year later with Jena Antonucci. Saratoga's leading trainer, Chad Brown, is going to be with me at 9:20 Eastern. Actually caught up with Chad yesterday morning. This is a super busy day for him, so he took time yesterday to spend about 10 minutes with me, and we talked about his 2 contenders in the Travers Stakes and then talked about his runners in the other stakes races coming up at Saratoga this afternoon. So stay tuned for that interview at 9:20. And there is racing, believe it or not, outside of Saratoga today. You have a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile at Del Mar this afternoon. That's the Grade 2 Pat O'Brien. 7 furlongs on the main track. And in case you're wondering, 69 days, 6 hours, 20 minutes, and 35 seconds are all that remain to this year's Breeders' Cup returning to Del Mar. So I'll get a chance to visit with trainer Todd Fincher in my 9:40 segment. We'll go down the road to the Breeders' Cup. Todd getting set to saddle Senor Buscador, a very interesting move here. And I can't wait to visit with Todd and ask him what the thought process was. You have a horse in Senor Buscador who wins the Saudi Cup, runs well in the Dubai World Cup, and running at classic distances, and here he is in a 7-furlong sprint. So stay tuned for that conversation. Of course, he'll have to contend with the Chosen Vron, who is a huge morning line favorite in that race this afternoon. So here's the full lineup for you. Tim Wilkin coming up in just a couple of minutes after this first commercial break. Mark Edwards and Anna Thorp talking about Thorpedo Anna at 8:35. 9 o'clock, you get Nick Zito, Jena Antonucci. 9:20, trainer Chad Brown. 9:40, trainer Todd Fincher. Then we begin hour 3 at 10 o'clock Eastern with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Ashley Anderson will have 3 races you can keep an eye on later today. Kurt Becker Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim. So plenty to get to on a very busy Saturday morning, Travers morning, here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live racing at Ellis Park runs July 4th through August 26th with the first post of 12:50 p.m. Eastern, Saturday through Monday. Highlights include a record $3.7 million in stakes purses across 18 races, including Kentucky Downs Preview Weekend, August 3rd and 4th, and Ellis Park Derby Day on Sunday, August 11th. Average daily purses are more than $615,000. For more information, visit ellisparkracing.com. Purses powered by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund.
Tenda Equine and Pet Care products have been keeping world-class equine athletes happy and healthy for generations. Keep your equine athlete looking and performing well with Tenda Next Generation Wound and Skin Care Treatment, along with nutritional supplements, leg and muscle care products, salves, hoof care, poultice, topical aids, and grooming products. Visit tendahorse.com today.
There are thrills around every turn at Gulfstream Park with heart-pounding horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Join us in Ten Palms Restaurant for an elevated view of the track or take in the races at the Carousel Club, trackside. Come out on Saturdays and enjoy high-quality stakes races and join us all summer long for an expanded event schedule. Simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. For reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Forte still has 4 lengths to find. He's starting to warm up, just got a crack as he'll come 5 wide into the stretch. Scotland, Arcangelo, in between them it's Tapit Trice. Forte still 5 lengths back in Disarm, trying to come through a narrow opening as Arcangelo has opened up a 3-length lead, and it's the Belmont winner in charge. Disarm gets loose late and is coming with a menacing bid. It's Arcangelo and Disarm 1-2. Arcangelo, another Travers for Javier Castellano, defeating Disarm. Tapit Trice was third and Forte a distant fourth in 2:02 and 1/5 seconds. Congratulations, Jena Antonucci. What a training job.
That's Frank Miramati with the call of last year's Travers Stakes, won by Arcangelo for trainer Jena Antonucci, who I mentioned you'll hear from later in the program, right around 9:10 Eastern Time. Jockey Javier Castellano earning a 7th Travers victory. That is a record, in case you're wondering. 7 Travers wins. He'll look for number 8 later this afternoon, and we'll see if Thorpedo Anna can continue with racing's leading ladies, making an impact, if you will, in the Travers Stakes, the Midsummer Derby. It's going to be a special day at Saratoga. Lots of great racing action. Nobody knows that better than our good friend Tim Wilkin. You'll hear from him later in the program at 10:30 Eastern with Dale Romans. on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer, but you hear from him right now, trackside at Saratoga, with an update on all things happening on this Travers morning. Timmy, happy to have you aboard, my friend.
Hey, Mike, happy to be here. Doing double duty today.
Yeah, a double shot at Tim Wilkin. Does it get any better than that?
I don't know. Some people might argue that that's not such a good thing.
Well, brother, I love it. We've been doing this together a long time, many years now. We have kicked off this Equine Forum show on Travers Morning together. Let's start with the weather, track conditions. Give me an update on how things look up there today.
Well, I'm looking out over the track as we speak. It's a gorgeous day, not a cloud in the sky right now. It's supposed to be in the mid-80s, not a chance of rain, and I would expect we're going to be fast and firm.
And I assume gates are open. The running of the bulls has taken place. People have their seats already?
That's changed. They don't open the gates till 9 o'clock now.
You're
this year.
kidding
It's different. So there's a lot of wild animals outside waiting to get in. And the thing that's funny is, like, when I walked in, there's already some tables, picnic tables that are, quote unquote claimed. So some people have friends in high places that probably, secured a spot for them.
Yeah. I guess the days are gone.
There's a lot of people outside right now. Believe me.
I told you the story of a friend of mine when we used to go over for Travers Day when I was living in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and he got over there the night before. He went into the track. He stayed. He kind of hid in the racetrack and slept in the racetrack all night and was woken up by morning training so that he could be the first one in there to set his stuff on a table and get us a table for the day.
Where did he sleep?
It was down by we used to sit down by the picnic tables at the top of the stretch. And he found a spot down there, I guess in the woods or the trees that are down there, and slept out there all night.
It never was found.
No. Got up that morning, put the stuff on the table, and we had a great Travers Day.
He must have disguised himself. He must be like MacGyver.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened, but somehow he was able to pull it off. Listen, there are so many incredible stories surrounding the Travers Stakes over the years. What's your favorite running of the Travers, Tim?
Boy, the favorite running of the Travers, that's a loaded question. I mean, I've seen them. The first one I saw here was 1980. I can go back to 1987. That was the one when Java Gold won, when all the hype was for all the other horses that were in that race, the Triple Crown horses, and it was a sea of slop, and Java Gold won it for Mac Miller and Paul Mellon. That one stands out. In 1982, when Runaway Groom upset the three winners of the Triple Crown races from Canada, and he was owned by a local guy from Schenectady, New York, named Albert Capola, who I believe is no longer with us. But and if he is, I'm sorry, but I pretty believe he's gone. But that was remember that he was a gray horse, and he's coming down the stretch. And people in the press box were thinking it was Gato del Sol, who was another gray who won the Derby. And there people, here comes Gato del Sol. But no, it was Runaway Groom. That was one. And you go back just recently when American Pharoah was here, and the day before the Travers, there were like 20,000 people here to come out and watch him gallop. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was a little bit like when Cigar came out to gallop. He never ran here, but when he came out to train, there was like 5,000 people, but there were 20,000 people there. It was like a Travers Day traffic jam where people coming here at 7:30 in the morning to see American Pharoah gallop around the track. And then, of course, the next day, he got beat by Keen Ice by our good pal Dale.
Yep. Yeah, I was there for both Cigar training before he went to California and was beaten by Darren Go. And I was there for American Pharoah, too, to watch him gallop on that Friday. It was that scene you just described. Boy, that brought back some memories, Tim. You're right. It was amazing to see so many people there just to watch a horse gallop.
And it was just the thing, Mike, that was just mind-boggling to me was over at the barn. That's where I was when Pharoah came out of John Terranova barn. That's where he was staying when Bob was here. And he comes out, and it was like there was hundreds and hundreds of people on the backstretch. It was almost like they'd opened the gates, the left field fence gate at Yankee Stadium, and let everybody walk through. As I don't know how the heck they let got all those people back there, but there were people with baby carriages and little kids running around, and amongst the horses. I've never seen anything like it. Mm-hmm. It was a phenomenon for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's so interesting that you mentioned your first Travers Stakes being the 1980 renewal of the Travers, because I was doing a little homework. I was taking a page from your book and doing a little research.
Good deal.
I may start calling you what do you think, the resplendent researcher? Does that work? You do such good research for that segment. I had to, if I knew you were coming on the show, I had to do a little homework myself.
Well, as they said in the Shawshank Redemption, it's your world, boss.
Anyway, 1980 was the very first Travers Stakes that Hall of Fame trainer Nick Zito participated in.
Oh.
His horse that year was a horse named Little Lenny, ended up finishing 5th, but that was Nick's first Travers starter. He has now saddled 29 horses in the Travers Stakes, but that was his first one.
Wow, I remember that one vaguely. I remember talking to Nick under a tree at in the Oklahoma. I think it was before 36 Red ran, and that was when that was in the 80s sometime. I forget the year, so my research isn't good right today. You've done better than me, but I remember talking to Nick about that then. That's when I first met him, and he's been a go-to guy for me for years.
Yep. And again, folks are going to hear from him this morning, 9 o'clock Eastern. He's going to look back on his lone Travers victory that came 20 years ago with Birdstone in 2004. And you can't think about Birdstone without thinking about Mary Lou Whitney, right?
No, you can't. And I remember that day like it was yesterday, how hard it rained. And, they end up canceling the last race. It was raining so hard. And the rain started, I believe, right when the race started. It got really dark. It was like something out of the Wizard of Oz or something. And when they crossed the finish line, it just opened up. And, Mary Lou and John Hendrickson, God bless him too, and Nick, they were just soaking wet. But, I don't think any of them cared.
No. Nick finished that year, 2004. Nick not only won the race, he had the runner-up in the Cliff's Edge. And then he had Sir Shackleton, who finished 5th. So he had 1st, 2nd, 5th in the 2004 Travers.
That was a great training job by Nick. He did such a great job with Birdstone. Really did.
Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to visit with him, 9 Eastern. I threw out a poll question on our social media this morning, Tim, and folks are weighing in. I just asked simply, which horse are you cheering for in today's Travers? Thorpedo Anna, Dornoch, Fierceness, or somebody else? And 58% of our listeners right now are saying it's Thorpedo Anna who they're most excited to see. How about you?
Well, there's always been the rule, no cheering in the press box, right? I'm trying to be as objective as I can. I visited with just about all of these Travers horses over the last month. Spent a lot of time at Kenny McPeak's barn with Thorpedo Anna. I spent a lot of time at Dornoch's barn with Danny Gargan, Sierra Leone, and Fierceness of Honor Marie. And the thing that struck me this whole month is the accessibility that these trainers have given the media. I mean, there's not as many of us, obviously, that there used to be. But, I don't think I've had one instance of any of these trainers that blew me off or blew anybody off up here. And that's good for the game. You want to get these stories out there because there's a lot of really good stories in this Travers from Thorpedo Anna being the filly angle. Sierra Leone, is he finally going to break through and win a big one of these? So are we going to see which Fierceness are we going to see? Is Dornoch going to win his 3rd straight Grade 1? Does he still have more left in the tank? There's just a lot of really cool stories heading into this, and it's going to be a great race for the fans, I think, because, I mean, I don't know what it might sound like if the fillies in front as they head for home. This place, the roof will blow off the place, I think.
Yeah, you're right. I said earlier that if Dornoch were to win the Travers this afternoon, it's case closed. He's the undisputed 3-year-old champion no matter what happens the rest of the way. Do you agree?
He certainly would be the leader in the clubhouse. because we're getting to the point where there aren't too many. There's really one race left for 3-year-olds, the Pennsylvania Derby, and then these 3-year-olds have their eyes on the Breeders' Cup. If they're going to run again, they would have to run against older horses. I mean, if there was one 3-year-old that didn't win the Travers and won against older horses and then won the Breeders' Cup Classic, I guess you'd have to give them some consideration, because this game's always been, what have you done for me lately? And people would remember the Breeders' Cup Classic. People would forget by the time they get to the Classic, people are forgetting who won the Travers. That's just the way it is. But I think the 3-year-olds are better than the older horses right now, and I think besides 3-year-old, I think the horse of the year could come out of the 3-year-old ranks.
Yeah, I do believe that, and I think that if Thorpedo Anna were to beat the boys this afternoon, that she has a legitimate case at this point in the season to be horse of the year.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. I mean, that would be, if she does that, she's 5 for 5 this year. It would be her 4th grade one in a row. And then she's going from here. The plan is to go to Parks for the Cotillion and then the Breeders' Cup Distaff. So she's not going to see the boys again after today, no matter what happens. But if she were to win the Travers, and then, run the table the rest of the year, how can she not be horse of the year? I think it's a slam dunk.
So how do you see the Travers Stakes unfolding this afternoon?
Well, if the track is like it was yesterday, I think Sierra Leone might be sitting in the catbird seat, because, you could see a replay of what happened in the personal ensign when Raging Sea came from out of it to run down Idiomatic at the wire. And if that, you could see Sierra Leone being Raging Sea today, and maybe Idiomatic being one of a number of them. It could be Thorpedo Anna, it could be Dornoch, it could be Fierceness. But if the track's playing like it was yesterday, I think Sierra Leone has a huge advantage. We'll see how the track is playing, but if it is like it was yesterday, Sierra Leone's got, I think, a real big chance.
Yeah. That race yesterday were Idiomatic, and by the way, I have Idiomatic in our showdown, so I was hoping she was going to hold on to win the race. She did not. She ends up finishing second. That still puts me in front of you and Dale for the moment. Team Bush in the lead with the showdown 3.
You're like the U.S. Olympic hockey team. No one thought it. And here you are.
Do you believe in miracles?
Do you believe in miracles? Yes. Bring back Al Michaels for that call at the end of this thing if you win it.
The other cool thing about what we saw unfold yesterday was that Raging Sea comes from the Millridge line of tremendous racehorses, and Millridge is a longtime sponsor of ours, so I was so happy. I believe it's their 39th Grade 1 winner since 2000, and it's their first one for their client Alpha Delta and John Clay as an owner breeder. So cool stuff there for Millridge too. There were a lot of neat storylines associated with that race yesterday too.
There was, and Chad Brown gets another Grade 1. He's got a bushel full of them at this meet. He's more than having a phenomenal meet, and it looks like he's well on his way to win another training title. But kudos to him and his staff, because they've had their horses ready to run. I mean, he's just every horse seems live when they come out here, and it's it's nothing that we're not used to. We're used to it because Chad is that kind of a dominating. He's the trainer of the decade right now.
Talking with Tim Wilkin here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. You will hear more from Tim 10:30 Eastern when he's joined by Dale Romans for this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer. Tim, who's your pick then to win the Travers? Is it the filly?
I'm picking the filly. I might live to regret it, but I might live to think I was the smart one, because I do not know how good she is. She's never been asked to run hard. Brian Hernandez has never raised the stick to her. She's facing obviously a much saltier group here, but maybe she's that good, and we'll see it today. I think that it's gonna. I think there's a really good chance she could end up going off the favorite, because, like you said, I mean, everybody seems to gravitate towards a filly running in a big race like this. So that's my top pick, but there's it's with a little bit of trepidation because these other 3-year-olds that are in here are really, really good in my opinion. I think it's a good crop. I think Sierra Leone is going to be a handful. I think Fierceness, depending on which Fierceness shows up, he might be the best of this bunch. And, they were talking about him as earlier this year with Triple Crown aspirations. He was that good. And then he just, he's had his problems. If he shows up, we might see a performance like he had in the Florida Derby when he won by 13. And Dornock, who's just hates to have a horse pass him. And if he continues that thing, he's going to be trouble in the stretch. So, yeah, my pick is going to be the filly, but it's a nervous pick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very contentious race, and you couldn't blame anybody who likes the filly, Thorpedo Anna. You wouldn't blame anybody for saying they like Dornock or Sierra Leone or Fierceness or maybe somebody else, a couple of the horses coming out of the Keeneland Stakes. There are a lot of ways that you can go in today's Travers, which makes it highly intriguing, and that goes as race number 13 on the program this afternoon, post time for the Travers, right around 6:10 Eastern time. Tim, there are a few other greatest stakes races.
Wait a minute. What's your Travers pick?
You're going to put me on the spot with that.
Yeah, you put me in.
I'm actually going with Dornock.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with Dornock. I just think he's probably the best horse in there. I know he's been asked to do a lot this year. He's had a long campaign, but I love his courage, his tenaciousness. If he gets hooked in the stretch, I don't think they're getting by him.
Well, that's what Danny Gargan's been saying ever since the Haskell. And, he famously said, told Dave Grunning from the Daily Racing Forum before the horse even ran, he's the best horse he ever trained.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
it's an interesting race.
Yeah, he's a very good racehorse, and again, the Travers is a signature event, but there are 4 other Grade 1 races on that card today. You have the Ballerina, you have the Forgo, the H. Allen Jerkins Memorial, and then the Sword Dancer. 2 of those are winning year ends for the Breeders' Cup, the Ballerina and the Sword Dancer. Timmy, talk to me about some of the other highlights on that program, some of the other big-name horses we're going to see.
Well, the race that I'm really looking forward to is the Jerkins, the 7 furlong race named after the great Allen Jerkins, formerly known as the King's Bishop. There's a really good group of horses in this race, and I think we're getting a rematch from last month, the Woody Stevens back in June during the Belmont Festival here, and in Bookham Dano, who beat Prince of Monaco, and I think that Bob Baffert, trainer of Prince of Monaco, is sending him back here for another try, and Bob is very high on his horse in this spot. I mean, he doesn't ship to the big days unless he really thinks he has a big chance. So I think he's a bit major player in here. And another horse that I think that is going to interest me a lot is Speakeasy from Todd Pletcher. He's only started twice. He's won both his starts by 4 or 5 lengths total. It reminds me a little bit of Mind Frame. He won his first 2 starts, and Todd put him right in the Belmont, and he darn near won it. So I think you got to keep a good eye on Speakeasy. They were very high on him when he started his career in January, and he missed a little time and came back and won the Lawrence race here. He's going to be in my triple. And Timberlake, who from Brad Cox. Brad is shortening him up. He was on the Triple Crown Trail for a while. He was 4th in the Arkansas Derby after winning the Rebel. And then after freshening, he ran him in the Haskell, and he finished 3rd. And that's when, as Brad said the other day, he said, at the 8th pole of the Haskell, I decided I was going to shorten him up. So this horse, I'll be interested to see what he does at 7 furlongs, because he broke his maiden at 7 by a pole last year at Ellis. So I think that race to me is the second best race on the card. I really am looking forward to that one. And every race, every stakes race has its own plot lines, and there's interesting things on it. But the one thing that is different about this year, last few years, that there was more stakes races. They used to really pile them on for the Travers, and I'm kind of glad that they have only 5, because a lot of these races could stand on their own on any other day, and they'll be lost in the shuffle because of the Travers. I mean, the Forego is a good race; it always is. And the Sword Dancer with the 2 from Charlie Appleby. I mean, it's a short field, but Charlie Appleby looks to me like he's got them all over a barrel with Measured Time and Silver Knot. And Soldier Rising from Christophe Clement. He does have a case of second-itis, finished second in half of his 22 starts, but he might be I don't know if he can beat the top 2, but I think he's the best of the rest. So, I mean, that's a quick synopsis of it. And I haven't mentioned the Ballerina, or it's just a great day of racing.
I'm shocked you didn't mention the Ballerina, because that's where we're going to see Scylla square off with Vava. Vava's supposed to be a heavy favorite in there, but Scylla, second choice, sitting there, cutting back in distance. Scylla is a horse that you have in the Showdown 3 as part of your team. I thought you would start with the Ballerina.
Well, I didn't want to jinx him. I mean, cause the last time Scylla ran was out in California against Adair Manor, and turning for home, it looked to me, and Bill Mott said the same thing. I thought she was going to win it, but Adair Manor, is that on your team? Maybe is that one of yours?
Yes.
Yeah, it's she's a very quality animal out west, and Scylla certainly didn't disgrace herself running in that race, but now she's shipped back east, and I'm looking for a big effort from her too.
Great day of racing at the Spa, the signature day of racing at the Saratoga meet. 14 races. First race goes at 11:20 Eastern, so that'll be shortly after we finish up the Equine Forum here this morning. Tim Wilkin, you'll hear from him again 10:30 Eastern when he's joined by Dale Romans for I Ask, They Answer. Timmy, listen, man, always appreciate it, and it wouldn't be Travers Morning without this visit with you.
Well, it's always great to visit with you too, Mike, and it's good that I get double duty today.
Well, go get them. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll talk later on.
Sounds good, Mike. Thanks.
All right, Tim Wilkin here on HRRN. Coming up next, you're going to hear from owner Mark Edwards, the owner of Thorpedo Anna, and his oldest granddaughter, Anna Thorp. They joined me yesterday for an interview live from Saratoga, and they were standing at the barn staring at Thorpedo Anna as they were having the conversation with me. It's a fun interview. We'll talk to them next, right after this Legends of the Turf and this short commercial break.
Racing for his breeder, Mrs. Phipps Wheatley Stable, this horse won the Juvenile, Youthful, and the Futurity as a 2-year-old. At 3, he was Horse of the Year after chalking up scores in the Flamingo, Wood Memorial, Preakness, Bahamas, Trenton, Queens County, Vosburg, and Benjamin Franklin handicaps. He equaled the track record in the Bahamas in going the 7-panel distance in 1:22 flat. He set a new track record in winning the Vosburg 7 furlongs in 1:21 4, a new track record for 9 furlongs in copping the Flamingo in 1:47 flat, and went the same distance in nailing down the Wood in 1:48 4. As a 3-year-old, are you listening out there, horseman? He was asked to shoulder 136 pounds in winning the Ben Franklin. He packed 130 in the Vosburg, the highest weight ever shouldered by a 3-year-old in that event. At the age of 4, he won the Toboggan under 133 pounds, the Carter under 135, the Stymie packing 133, and the Suburban and the Monmouth toting 134 pounds. When he hung up his running shoes, as it were, he had started 33 times and had won 23 with 4 seconds and 2/3. He became the leading sire with only 2 crops of racing age in 1963, and his stud services very quickly rose to the level of almost being beyond affordability. His reign as leading North American sire for 7 consecutive seasons was not only heretofore unmatched, but not even remotely approached at that time in the 20th century. Bull Lee and Lexington had stood alone in their time, but this horse literally dwarfed all his competitors in the breeding shed in terms of success of progeny on the racetrack. There was a question raised from time to time regarding his ability to impart stamina to his get. Although he had won in the 1 3/16 mile Preakness and the 1 1/4 mile Trenton Suburban and Monmouth handicaps, the vast majority of his get exhibited blazing speed on the racetrack. There were a number of his get, however, that could be classified as stayers, including among those would be Lamb Chop, Batur, Bull Bitter, Stahanas, Bull Dower, Dewan, Successor, and Gamely, just to name a few. They were all winners in stakes company at 1 1/4 miles or better. He was a leading sire of 2-year-olds for 5 seasons, 3 of those consecutively. The uninterrupted 8-year reign at stud for this horse, and 12 years in all, including that of his sire Nasrallah, is a record to this day for a father-son combination. His progeny often did not have extended racing careers. They were too valuable at stud. Just hearken to this list in addition to those already mentioned, and really time precludes doing too justice to this prodigious and lengthy compilation. Bull Commander, Bull Princess, Speedwell, Bull Queen, Beautiful Day, Chieftain, Bull Lad, Time for Bed, Cornish Prince, Bold Experience, Jacinto, Staunchness, Jove, Bold Nesian, Queen Empress, Great Power, My Boss Lady, Disciplinarian, Master Bull, What a Pleasure, Big Advance, Virginia Delegate, Irish Castle, Raja Baba, Plum Bold, and on and on. In a word, absolutely awesome. This particular Titan of the Turf was foaled at Claiborne April 6, 1954, and that was a most noteworthy indeed day for that farm and racing as a whole. You see, 1/2 hour after this foal was dropped, another foal was brought into the racing world who in time on the racetrack became the world's leading money winner, Round Table. The marvelous thoroughbred that has been the subject of this dissertation went his way to the Great Paddock in the Sky, July 12, 1971, and with him went a remarkable record on the racetrack and in the breeding shed. He was Bold Ruler.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 29th through September 11th, showcasing 7 days of racing with $34 million in purses, including the world's richest maiden races at $170,000 for Kentucky breds. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America with 6 $2 million stakes races on September 7th and 15 of 18 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds. Also on September 7th is the FanDuel TV U.S. Open Turf Championships, including 2 Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races. Reserved seats on sale at the KentuckyDowns.com. There's unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
There are thrills around every turn at Gulfstream Park with heart-pounding horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Join us in 10 Palms Restaurant for an elevated view of the track, or take in the races at the Carousel Club, trackside. Come out on Saturdays and enjoy high-quality stakes races, and join us all summer long for an expanded event schedule. Simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. For reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
His sire is one of the most exciting young stallions in the world. His dam has become one of the most important broodmares in the industry. And on the first Saturday in May, his genetic brilliance shined brightest on racing's biggest stage.
They come into the final 16, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby.
Mage, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
They come to the top of the stretch. Thorpedo Anna heads for home in the Oaks, cuts the corner, holds the lead. Ways and Means starts to give way. Just FYI is coming. Regulatory Risk is coming down the center, but Thorpedo Anna has the answer, and she kicks away now by 2 and now by 3. Just FYI is trying hard, but she's second. Regulatory Risk, Ways and Means, Thorpedo Anna scores by 4 in the Oaks.
wire to wire over just FYI, regulatory risk. Then it was either Everland or Ways and Means.
Well, what a way to welcome you back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on this Travers morning. That was Travis Stone with the call of this year's Kentucky Oaks, just one of many brilliant performances by the filly who so many believe is not only the best 3-year-old filly in the country, but quite possibly the best 3-year-old of any gender. She'll have the opportunity to prove that later today in the Midsummer Derby. But regardless of that result this afternoon, Thorpedo Anna has taken her owner, Mark Edwards, his family, and her namesake, Anna Thorp, on the ride of a lifetime, and that cannot be overstated. Yesterday, I had the privilege to visit with Mark and his oldest granddaughter, Anna, as they prepare to once again cheer on that very special filly. Mark, congratulations on your incredible success with Thorpedo Anna.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, just incredible. As you were listening to the call of the Kentucky Oaks from Travis Stone, what was going through your mind?
What was going through my mind was I was visualizing the race as it occurred, and of course, Thorpedo Anna had never gone out on a bill in any of her previous races, so I was a little bit concerned. And then I got really concerned at what she started putting Ways and Means away. And I saw FYI coming up on the outside, and that got my attention a little bit. But, in fact, people that were around me when the race was going on said, well, you never said anything until it was clear she was going to win. I said, because I wasn't sure she was. But it just brings back great memories, and she held on and showed she had some grit in that one.
Well, all she's done since that winning effort is go on and win the Grade 1 Acorn by 5.5 lengths, and then the Grade 1 Coaching Club American Oaks on July 20th. She wins that by nearly 5 lengths. She has not been challenged by any filly in the country. Today is a whole different task facing her, taking on the boys for the first time. Anna, again, congratulations to you, and let me start here. Your grandfather calls you and asks you to pick out a name for a racehorse he had just purchased. Walk me through the story.
Yeah, he called us, and he called me and my mom, and we were in the car, and he was like, you guys need to pick a name because I just bought a filly from Fast Anna, and we want to name it after you. And I was like, that's a lot of pressure. So I didn't really know what I should name it. I went back and forth for a couple of weeks, and then overall I just let them decide because I couldn't come up with anything. I kind of choked.
Why Thorpedo Anna?
Because I am a swimmer, and one of my coaches a couple of years ago started calling me Thorpedo, and it just kind of stuck, and that's what they used for the horse too.
I love it. It's such a perfect name, especially considering Fast Anna and then your nickname of Thorpedo Anna, and it all just ties together beautifully. Mark, why this filly?
I trust Kenny to pick out good horses, and if he sends one to me and says I've got this or I've got this, then I'm usually interested. But then when he said it was a Fast Anna filly, that really piqued my interest, so I jumped on that one real quick. But I basically trust Kenny. He's the 7-second guy.
Yeah, Kenny's fantastic. When you asked Anna to choose a name, was the filly showing any signs that she could be, well, I don't know, this special or at least a really, really good racehorse?
Well, when we first bought her, it was at the yearling sale, so no, I had no indication, how she'd turn out, if she'd even make the track. But early on in her training, Kenny was very confident, and that's not something you always see from him. A lot of times, he's like a lot of trainers. He's guarded about what he says, but he's always been real high on her. So I thought there was a possibility she could be special. I never dreamed she'd be this special.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game when you see him do what she is doing right now and potentially make history this afternoon. Anna, tell me about what it's like for you watching Thorpedo Anna run.
It's really nerve-wracking, but it's also very exciting. I have so much fun doing it. I've always grown up around watching Pops' horses run and cheering for them, but having one connected to me is just very different, and it's so much fun. I love watching her run.
Especially in these big races, right?
Yes, that makes it even better.
I'm sure it does. Have you ever had to swim against the boys in any of the competitions that you've been in?
No, I haven't. That's not really something that they do very often with swimming. If I do, it's only in practice with the boys in my group. So,
tell me about your relationship with Thorpedo Anna. I'm sure you're standing at the barn right now. I'm sure that not only is she special to you, but I'm sure that you guys have developed somewhat of a chemistry together.
Yeah, I get kind of worried to touch her and stuff because the one time I touched her at Churchill, she kind of like jumps a little bit because she's so feisty, which is good. But we have a great connection. I really enjoy watching her race, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Mark, you have a bit of a superstition with a lucky shirt. Tell me about that.
Well, her maiden race that she broke at Keeneland, it was nothing special. I just put on a pair of shorts and a shirt, and she won by, I think, 8.5 lengths or something. So her next race, I said, okay, well, let's just wear this same shirt. And I did, and she won by, I think 9.5 lengths in the first level allowance race. And I didn't wear one in the Goldenrod. I wore a different shirt.
Ooh.
And that's her only loss. So I says to myself, Seth, you better wear that shirt again.
And you've worn it for every race since.
That's correct. And it's not pink, but I'll find some pink to go with it.
Yeah, what is the shirt that makes it so special?
There's nothing about it that's special other than the fact she wins when I wear it.
So you're talking to somebody who is extremely superstitious, and I'm like that with betting. If I'm on a hot streak, I try to use the same pen, or I try to, if I'm betting with a teller, go to the teller the same way, or if I'm putting in my bets on TwinSpires, I try to type it in the right way, or whatever the case might be. I do things the same when I'm on a hot streak, and I don't think it's that uncommon.
Well, and, it's not that I really believe in superstitions, but I don't want to take a chance.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Anna, how about you? Do you have any superstitions with Thorpedo Anna, or even when you were swimming in competitions, did you do anything that was kind of the same, competition in and competition out?
I usually do the same warm-up for meets and stuff, and then for Thorpedo Anna, I have worn the same pearl earrings for every single race, and I'm afraid that if I take them out, she won't win.
I love it. So if she wins the Travers today, she is going to be in exclusive company, and she is going to make history by beating the boys. Do you let yourself go there in your mind to what the moment might be like, Anna, if she does beat the boys?
Yeah, sometimes I think about what it would really be like if she was the best of the best, not just the best filly. But I like to try not to get ahead of myself because I feel like that might jinx it. So I usually go back into focus and make sure to just be confident in her, but not too confident.
Yeah. What's it like when you're in the paddock with her before the race, and then as you walk back to the clubhouse or to the grandstand, wherever you're going to be sitting to watch her? Describe those moments before the race and what they're like for you.
Oh gosh, it's so stressful for me. I don't really know why, because there's no pressure really on me. I can't really control anything about it, but it's so stressful to me, and I have a lot of fun, but it's a lot of emotions.
What do your friends and your teammates think of this special filly?
A lot of them don't really know that much about horse racing, but they go to the Oaks because we're from Louisville, so they know, like, the Oaks. And when she won the Oaks, I think they realized how big of a deal that was. And then ever since then, they've all watched all of her races and cheer for her just like I do.
Mark, how many friends, family members do you have at Saratoga with you for the Travers?
Well, there are 23 that basically are traveling with us, and then I've got another maybe dozen or so that I know from other horses, and that'll be here too. So it's a pretty good contingent.
Yeah. You talk about Kenny McPeak, the trainer, as good as it gets. He's been doing this a very long time at a very high level. How did that relationship begin with you and Kenny?
I bought into a horse named Rated R Superstar that was bred by a person from Paducah, where I'm from, and he asked me if I wanted to buy in on that horse, and I agreed to do it. And Kenny was the trainer, and so I met Kenny. I guess at her when she didn't break her, or he didn't break his maiden, but at a maiden race, and then after that, I called him up and asked him if he was a bloodstock agent, and he goes, "Yeah, I do that all the time." I said, "All right, well, buy me some horses," and so we've been doing that ever since.
And doing it very well, I might add. What advice do you give to potential new owners thinking about getting into the sport today?
Well, I tell them that they don't want to spend money they're not willing to lose, and that you don't do it for the money, you do it for the fun. If you happen to make some money on races, that's a plus. But I basically say, look, it's not for the faint of heart. There are a lot of lows, but the highs are so great that if you can afford to do it and not worried about the horse dying and the horse not making the track from an injury or the horse just not being any good, then it's a boatload of fun.
What's it like being able to do this alongside your granddaughter and your entire family?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Anna, how about you, being there with your grandfather and traveling and seeing all of these beautiful racetracks? What's it been like?
It's been crazy. I'd really only been to Churchill until she started running. I went to Keeneland for the first time. But it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed traveling and going to see her run and just being with family while doing it too. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that she is awesome as she has been throughout her entire career. Let's hope she does it one more time in the Travers later today. Mark, Anna, I want to thank you both. Congratulations on this incredible success, and let's keep it rolling in the Midsummer Derby this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, you got it. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, man.
Bye.
All right, Mark Edwards and Anna Thorp, the namesake of the brilliant filly Thorpedo Anna. We'll see her in action later this afternoon in the Midsummer Derby. When I come back, I'll tell you what's ahead in hour number 2. You won't want to miss hour 2 and hour 3 on this morning's Equine Forum. I'll tell you all about it next. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed for Sales, Kentucky.
The Claiming Crown is returning to Churchill Downs Saturday, November 16th. Make plans to be part of the Claiming Horse version of the Breeders' Cup, showcasing 8 Claiming Crown races offering a minimum of $100,000. Each race will also offer a Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund purse supplement for registered Kentucky breds.
An invaluable goes all the way up top to win at a length and a half.
Eligibility request deadline for the Claiming Crown at Churchill Downs is Saturday, October 26th. Learn more at claimingcrown.com.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Well, John, the stage is set for the final transaction.
That's right, Joe. Heather's moment has arrived, and you just hope all that training pays off.
Heather lays down her purchase, but Randy rings it up as slowly as he can.
He is a wily veteran.
It gives Heather's eyes the chance to wander. Uh-oh. Yep, she's looking at the cigarettes.
There's nothing good back there. Quit now, and in 5 years, your odds of getting certain cancers drop 50%.
Meanwhile, Randy's stone-faced. He's giving nothing away. He just stands there, wetting his cashier's finger on that sponge.
Heather toes the rubber.
Here we go. Heather's arm is in motion. But instead of pointing at the back wall, she just grabs the gum off the counter.
That's a slick move.
Heather back. She is out of there. Even Randy tips his cap to Heather. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally wants you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig-Tipton.
Please join me in welcoming Hall of Fame trainer Todd Fincher.
Hall of Fame trainer Nick Zito on Trainer Talk. Welcome Hall of Famer Bob Baffert to the program. Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, nice enough to spend some time with us. Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott here on Trainer Talk.
Dual Hall of Fame trainer Mark Cassie.
Trainer Talk, the biggest names in horse racing. Wednesdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And Mike Smith lets the bull roll. He's in front by 5 as they come to the quarter pole. But there is cause for concern. Concern comes on. Second on the outside. Tabasco Cat is well behind in third. They're coming down to the final furlong. Mike Smith asking Holy Bull for everything he has. Concern is coming hard under Jerry Belly. It's still Holy Bull desperately trying to hold. Concern a final threat, but it is Holy Bull as game as a racehorse can be coming down to the wire. Holy Bull wins. What a hero! Concern came to him at the end, and it was 15 lengths back to a Belmont Stakes winner.
That's the way it sounded at Saratoga 30 years ago. Tom Durkin with the call of the 1994 running of the Travers. Holy Bull, what a hero. What a day that was. I'll never forget, of course, my all-time favorite horse, but I'll never forget sitting there alongside my brother in the grandstand watching him storm through the lane, Concern running at him, but it was Holy Bull who held off Concern that day in a fantastic renewal of the Travers Stakes. We're going to see another good one later today. When I come back, I'm going to look back on a couple of other memorable Travers Stakes. I'll do that with Nick Zito, who kicks off the second hour of the program, remembering Birdstone on this 20-year anniversary of his victory, and Jena Antonucci, who will look back on her special win with Arcangelo 1 year ago. That's ahead in hour number 2, right after I pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back, hour 2 of 3 here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, the Baron of the Backstretch, happy to have you along for the ride on this Travers Stakes Day, special day at Saratoga, and for racing fans all over the country, and really for racing fans all over the world, because this is a tremendous renewal of the Travers later today, and the Midsummer Derby very well could decide a couple of championships. It could decide the 3-year-old championship if Dornoch were to win, and if Thorpedo Anna can beat the boys. She now throws her name into the hat, not just for the 3-year-old filly championship, but I think that's a done deal, but certainly for Horse of the Year. She now has a case to be made in that category too, which is pretty special. So all kinds of storylines surrounding this year's Travers. If you missed any of the first hour of the program, my conversation with Tim Wilkin or that visit with Mark Edwards and Anna Thorp, you can head back to the website, horseracingradio.net. You can listen to the podcast whenever you have some time, and you can do that too on every podcast platform. Poll question this morning, I'm asking you which horse you're most excited to watch in today's Travers. So far, 51% of you saying it is Thorpedo Anna, followed by Fierceness at 17%, Dornoch, just 14% of you excited to see him. A couple of people responding to that question saying Corporate Power could be sneaky in here. Laura says, I'm cheering for Thorpedo Anna, but doing two things she's never done before is a huge ask. That said, I'm wearing pink today. I think you'll see a lot of pink surrounding or dotted throughout the grandstand and clubhouse areas and the picnic areas at Saratoga later today. Well, it was 20 years ago that Hall of Famer Nick Zito watched his Birdstone storm to victory at Saratoga in the Travers Stakes, and here is the way it sounded in 2004.
As the field turns for home, Lionheart has come up empty. Birdstone up for the lead. Birdstone in front. Purge is battling with him. On the outside, the cliff's edge. Eddington is fourth at the rail. Birdstone at the 8th pole with the lead. The cliff's edge takes it to him. Zito 1-2 with the 16th to go. And little Birdstone digs down. The cliff's edge could not get to him in the darkness at Saratoga. Birdstone has won the 135th Belmont Stakes. His stablemate, the Cliff's Edge, was second. Eddington was third, and Purge was fourth.
The legendary Tom Durkin bringing them home. Birdstone, little Birdstone, digging down. Nick Zito has saddled 2,063 winners in his Hall of Fame career. And Nick, he's with me now. Nick, I'm sure that victory in the Travers 20 years ago has to rank right up there as one of your favorites.
Without a doubt, like they say, it was incredible, Mike, and good morning to you and everybody out there. It's by far probably the most gratifying win because of the Whitneys and Mary Lou and the way it took place, and actually the Cliff's Edge. We're rooting for him too. He ran a wonderful race. He was second for the Little Pentas, and it was very memorable. But the one thing that gets me more than anything was if anybody was there that day, they witnessed history. And I mean it because when he said in darkness, if anyone watched the movie The Natural, the baseball movie, you know, where Robert Redford hit that light, when he hit that light, it was exactly that. Because at the half-mile pole, there was lightning and darkness and just an incredible thing. And I told Mary Lou, I said, look, let's go down there and sing in the rain. And we all got soaking wet, and they canceled the last race. That's how hard it rained. They canceled the last race. It was like a flood. So it was really special.
Yep, I'll never forget that day. And then to see the Cliff's Edge finish second. And, Nikki, I pointed this out earlier. You also had Sir Shackleton in that race, and he finished fifth. So you had first, second, and fifth.
Yeah, for a day I could have been Chad Brown. It would have been unbelievable. He used to say that to me. He wanted to be me. Chad Brown used to say that. He's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good.
He's well on his way to being Nick Zito.
Yeah, he sure is. Yeah.
How cool is it to win it alongside Mary Lou Whitney?
Well, I think that, obviously that was very special. And, I remember how happy, obviously we're going to bring this up in a minute, how her husband, John Henriksen, was, because he wanted that for her. That's a real tradition. That's a traditional breeding operation for 100 years. It was incredible with the Whitneys. And they have that picture, if anybody's familiar with the wishing well.
Yep.
They have the Belmont picture. When you walk in, you make a left turn to the bar. It's a big picture of that. That's how much dedication they have up here for the Whitneys.
And you mentioned John Henriksen. John passing away suddenly on Monday. That is very, very sad and a huge loss, not just for the horse racing industry, but for all of humankind, because John was just a wonderful person.
Well, he's going to be remembered, for what he did in the backstretch. One time they came to the barn quite a bit, John and Mary Lou, and believe it or not, they came by one night and they saw how things were run back there. And they go, oh, my God. And I said, I told you. I said to John, I told you that's how it is back here. So they said, well, we got to do something. And they did. And they put together all those beautiful dinners and those movies and those special events. And they would go back there themselves, on a Saturday night and whatever. And Nancy and Cherie, that run the backstretch there, they do a great job. Nancy Underwood and Cherie, they do a great job, the two girls. But John will be remembered for that. He'll also be remembered for what he did for the hospital. Saratoga Hospital many years ago was just a hospital. And when I say just a hospital, and they needed some funds, they needed some improvements. And Mary Lou took it to a different level, and John was there. And he did so many wonderful things. I tell a lot of people, Mikey, that, I had friends that would get sick, and I would call John, and, he would go out of his way. And then you guys are familiar, racing world's familiar with the Terrell family, Red Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife, Dottie, was a good friend of mine, Dot Terrell. And everybody loved Dottie. She actually is the grandma of Terrell, which was Terrell, Chad's wife. He used to be married to her, and her grandmother was Dot. And what we did was, Dot, believe it or not, they called me, and I remember Brian Morgan was Terrell's brother. He passed away. It's a big racing family for years. Billy Terrell, you familiar with Billy Terrell too? They're all family, racing family. And Dottie was in the hallway. Mike couldn't get in. In other words, she was in a bed in the hallway. They couldn't get her. And John went himself and got her room.
Wow.
So that's a true story. And so he did things like that, unknown. But he'll certainly be remembered for the backstretch, what he did for for people in the community with the hospital. He was very generous that way. And I'll tell you what he's famous for too. People don't know. So Mary Lou had a chapel on Sunday, and everybody would go there, who's who in racing, and she had a few celebrity guests like Susan Lucci and Phil Shore. Mary Lou knew everyone. She was the queen of Saratoga. So John was starting off the sermon every Sunday, and then finally one day he got tired of it, I guess, or whatever, and that's before the chaplain came in, the Belmont and Saratoga chaplain, the New York chaplain. He asked me to do it, believe it or not.
Wow.
He said, hey, you're always quoting the scriptures. So I did it, and I actually did it for a few Sundays, and you talk about going into the fire there, because I'd look out in the audience and go, holy God, look who's out there. And there's the Farmers, there's the Oxleys, there's Barry and Cheryl Swartz, there's Susan Lucci, there's somebody. I said, holy God. So John did me that favor, if you know what I mean. So he had a sense of humor,
Yeah, people like John that do that kind of work behind the scenes, and you never hear about a lot of the stories you're telling now. People may be hearing these. I'm sure many people are hearing that for the very first time. I know I did. And Nick,
right.
There are so many stories and so many people in our sport like that I call them unsung heroes, because they do wonderful work that you never hear about. But, boy, racing couldn't survive without them.
Well, this is a terrible loss, to lose the two of them. That's a terrible loss. I think the only thing I could tell you is, Mike, and I obviously I was close to the situation. I was really happy. He told me Norm loves you, and he loved Norm Cassie, and I was very happy because Norm is we're great friends, and when he was a young guy, he'd look up to me, and I was so happy when John hired him, and it was a good match, but I noticed the last couple of years John wasn't himself, and I tell people, and it's not really corny. It's part of life. He probably wanted to be with Mary Lou. I mean, it sounds funny, young man, but he wasn't himself the last couple of years that I saw up here. So he had to miss her, if you know what I'm saying. He had to.
Yep. Yeah, it's a thing. Nikki, listen, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of a very busy morning to spend with me here, to look back on Birdstone and remember John and Mary Lou. It was a special time in your life, and John's definitely going to be missed. And I know Mary Lou is missed as well up there in Saratoga, and I appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, and I think you got Jena coming on, correct?
Yeah, Jena's coming up here in just a few minutes.
Wonderful, yeah. She did great work with the same thing with the Belmont and the Travers. And that's another thing. I'll let you go, but we were very proud of that history. When people might say, what do you mean the history? Well, there'll never be a crowd like that at Belmont Park again, if you know what I mean, 120,000 people. So, and I don't mean that just because they're making it really nice and renovating and doing a great job with it. I'm talking about that was the largest crowd in racing in history in Belmont Park when Birdstone beat Smarty Jones.
Yep. Yeah, so everybody was having their Smarty party, and Birdstone played the spoiler.
Yeah, somebody told me today, I guess they're having a Smarty Jones party at Philadelphia. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, Mike. You look it up. Peb did a cartoon of Nick Zito, and I was behind bars in Philadelphia for beating Smarty Jones.
I love it. You were actually apologetic. I've never seen a trainer be so apologetic for winning. I know you were happy to win it, but you also, as a racing fan, Nick, felt bad about denying the industry a Triple Crown.
Well, they were great people that owned it. The trainer, you know, and the Chapmans and John Service. You know, he came over to me. I said, "John, I'm really sorry." He goes, "What do you mean? You did a good job." And you know, he was classy. They all were. Listen, Smarty was a popular horse. I'm glad they're having a day for him today.
Yep. Well, Nick Zito, it's always great to talk with you, my friend, and really appreciate you being with me for a few minutes.
Yeah, right back to you, and I do miss Pete. Thank you,
me too. Thanks for saying that.
Okay.
Referring to, of course, Pete Coulis, my longtime partner here on the network, who passed away back in 2010. We started the network together. He was very close with Nick Zito, and he was the one who really introduced me to Nick and started that relationship. And Nick's one of the real good guys in thoroughbred racing, and so much fun to look back on that day 20 years ago. Well, you heard the call of Birdstone. This is the way it sounded 1 year ago on this weekend.
Forte still has 4 lengths to find. He's starting to warm up, just got a crack as he'll come 5 wide into the stretch. Scotland, Arcangelo, in between them it's Tapit Trice. Forte still 5 lengths back and Disarm trying to come through a narrow opening as Arcangelo has opened up a 3-length lead, and it's the Belmont winner in charge. Disarm gets loose late and is coming with a menacing bid. It's Arcangelo and Disarm 1-2. Arcangelo, another Travers for Javier Castellano, defeating Disarm. Tapit Trice was third, and Forte a distant fourth in 2:02 and 1/5 seconds. Congratulations, Jena Antonucci. What a training job.
What a training job indeed. And Jena with us now here on the Horse Racing Radio Network to remember that day. Jena, good morning.
Good morning.
As you're listening to that call, what's going through your mind?
I was trying to validate or fact-checked if Frank actually got crap from people for, making a editorialized comment and not just a race call afterwards for his congratulatory training statement there. But, it's what we do.
How cool is it to be sitting there today, 1 year removed from that historic victory, to look around, to see everybody coming back for the Travers again, and to know, Jena, you're very much a part of the history and the fabric of Saratoga and the Travers Stakes now.
You don't want to feel like you're that old when we start talking about all the historical things in racing, but I guess that is a permanent fixture of it, which is awesome, and it's such an honor to be part of any conversation with these big races that we get to have in this industry. So it's been a lot of fun to watch everyone on their journey, and you definitely watch from a different perspective and point of view. And I think, leading up to it, hearing fans of racing and just general well-wishers still just enjoying what we've been able to accomplish and maybe rooting a little harder for some of the middle guys now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How many times or how often are you asked about Arcangelo, and not just the win in the Travers Stakes, but the win in the Belmont too?
Often, and it's funny, there's an interesting disconnect that also happens oddly where people wondering where he is. And so I don't know how that's a miss a little bit, but I do get that a lot. And I'm like, well, he's doing what we promised him. If he ran hard and good, he could have lots of girlfriends. And so we keep it light, with the fans that don't know or don't understand that, he's on to his next chapter of his career now. But it is often, and the cool part is just seeing it through the fans' eyes, and got to meet a really nice lady yesterday that we were walking up, and I saw her, locked eyes on her, and she gave me like a heart emoji with her hands. And then later on, we were leaving from the races, and she was almost in tears. I'm like, please don't cry, please don't cry. So that part's really sweet, and it's really cool to see people get excited and jazzed about our experiences, and it makes me more excited about our industry.
I just interviewed Nick Zito a few minutes ago. You are kind of cut from the same cloth, Jena, where you have embraced now this role of being an ambassador for our sport. Do you view yourself in that way?
Oh, have I embraced it? No, I'm kidding. It's important. It's so important to talk about what we do, and I think probably one of my gifts that I didn't realize prior to really being put in this position now is having the ability to convey what we do in a manner that's relatable to other people and that to people that aren't in our business. And I think that's very important, where sometimes we get so jargon filled and niche-y, and what we do is such a unique thing. And what we've done has been so relatable, just from the Against the Odds and, David and Goliath and the against it all kind of point of view that I think our industry paints sometimes in a way that may not be the best for our industry. So, it's you lean into it where you can, and we're trying to grow and do better, and I think it's important to let people know that.
What's different about Jena Antonucci's life and your training career now as opposed to sitting here, a year and a half ago before you won the Belmont and then won the Travers?
Less sleep, definitely, if that was possible. No, a little bit more noise to manage, and dealing with other stuff. Again, and not in a bad way. It's just you carve the pie up a little bit differently. And really the training is the same. We're bringing along a lot of younger horses. We actually came up to meet with only one 4-year-old and I think 1 or 2 3-year-olds. And so we're in that time frame. And so probably that's the biggest difference, where we didn't have as many 2-year-olds that we were bringing along previously. And so we're in that patient spell right now of finishing breezes or getting first races under horses and building horses for later this year and for next year.
Is there another Arcangelo on the horizon?
We're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah. How long does it take you to know? How long does it take you to find out?
They think they tell us in the afternoons. We have a handful that we really like, and they look to be talented individuals, and I just think it's fair to let them tell their story and not put all the expectation and the weight and the heaviness in the barn and on the team. Like, let the horses prove it out. And we definitely have some really cool horses that we're enjoying watch grow. And fitness-wise, we might be really close to running, but again, making sure mentally they're prepared for their careers.
When did you first know you had something special with Arcangelo?
He was always a challenging guy, even, when we were playing with him at the farm before he went back out to the racetrack. And I've always found if you can channel that quirkiness or that personality, whether it's whatever that strongness is in the personality for good, they often are good ones. You'll hear time after time. You talk to a lot of trainers that a horse is quirky, or they're this or they're that. Even Thorpedo Anna taking, Danny for a ride. Like, you want to see that personality on them. And I've always found horses with a bigger personality have usually an ability that's more than average. And so he always had that. I think his arrival of the mile and Gulfstream before he wheeled off 4 in a row was where it clicked. You saw the horse just get low and go, and it was a very fast race. And that's where you went, okay, there it is. Like, what you were hoping was there because we had seen it in the mornings. It showed up that afternoon.
Thorpedo Anna is going to try to continue to build upon what you started last year, winning the Travers as a trainer. She's going to try to do it on the equine side of things. Maybe a trend for the ladies here, starting to dominate the Travers a little bit.
The more opportunity that's given, the more unique headlines we get to write.
Very
See?
well.
I'm getting good at this.
Very well said. Yes, you are getting very good at this. Jena, do you ever go back and watch replays of those races, the Belmont, the Travers, whatever it might be?
Rarely.
Really?
Yeah. It's, we all have feelings. We all have emotion and stuff. And obviously there were so many big lifts. Both of them sit very differently from an emotional point of view. And there's lots to enjoy and embrace. And, usually before we get to have a talk somewhere or whatever, we have kind of a hype clip that we get to play. And so that sucks you back. And, but yeah, I'm very much like most equine or thoroughbred people you talk to. We soldier on and we, got a lot to do. And so not looking back very often is important to staying focused on what's right in front of you and what's ahead.
Really well said. Jena Antonucci here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Jena, I know it's busy. I know I kind of hit you up at the last minute to join me here on the program, and you're always very accommodating. I really appreciate it. This has been such a delight to look back on last year, and here's to the next Arcangelo and many more winners in your future.
Thanks so much, and best of racing luck and safe and fun, and I hope the players and the fans have an amazing day today.
Yep, well said. Jena Antonucci here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. She has really embraced this role of now being an ambassador for the sport. And you heard from one of the great ambassadors of all time, Nick Zito, who has always been one to mingle with the fans and to spend time, put his arm. I told you the story about Nick putting his arm around my wife when the first time we met him in the paddock at Keeneland, and he was busy before a stakes race, and he came over and we introduced ourselves to him, and we were so nervous to go up and talk to Nick Zito, and Nick made us feel like he had known us his entire life, and he put his arm around my wife, Michelle, and he took a picture, and he took time to talk with us for a minute or two, which was incredible considering the fact that he had owners awaiting him to saddle their horse. And I think the world of Nick Zito, I think the world of Jena Antonucci, because of the way that they present themselves and they present our sport to others. And you heard Jena talk about the way that she has tried to craft that message. Where is Arcangelo now? Well, yeah, he's at stud, but she presents it in a way where she says, listen, we told him if he did really good, he could go out and have all kinds of girlfriends, right? Well, people can understand that. And it takes some of the stigma away and the intimidation factor away from racing when you can present it in that light. I loved what she said and how she presented that. Really cool stuff. My thanks to Nick and Jena for being with me in that segment. When I come back, you're going to hear from somebody who always finds himself in the spotlight these days. That is trainer Chad Brown. He took time yesterday to talk about his contenders, not just in the Travers, but in all the stakes races this afternoon. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
Essential quality narrowly. Midnight Bourbon continues the battle on. They're coming down for the finish. It is Essential Quality, and Midnight Bourbon, Essential Quality, has won the Run Happy Travers. He won the Belmont with class. He wins the Run Happy Travers with style.
A look back at yet another brilliant performance by champion Essential Quality in the 2021 renewal of the Travers. That memorable victory makes him your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Darley Stallion Essential Quality, a multiple Grade 1 winner at 2, and of both the Belmont and Travers at 3. The multiple Eclipse Award winner has had 3 of his first 8 yearlings sell for $500,000 or more. Look for his next group selling at Keeneland September. Learn more about Essential Quality and all the Darley Stallions by visiting DarleyAmerica.com.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here. Weekend racing returns with afternoon racing on Thursdays and Saturdays and a new late afternoon post of 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5, now offered twice daily. Join us for our biggest day of the season on August 10th at 1 p.m. for Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, featuring 7 stakes races, including the Grade 1 Arlington Million. And then September 7th, we'll wrap up the season with the Virginia Derby. Colonial Downs, rich history, bright future.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Sierra Leone is toward the center of the pack, looking toward the outside. 8 lengths to make up. Just over a quarter mile to go. Top Connor is the leader. Epic Ride swings wide. Just a touch between horses. Door Knock has to shift lanes along with Sierra Leone. That pair out in the center of the track, still 5 lengths off the lead as they move by the 8th pole. Just a touch has taken the lead from Top Connor. Sierra Leone is running on from the outside. A 16th to go. Sierra Leone comes forward for the lead and deep stretch and wins the Toyota Bluegrass for Tyler Gaffalione. Just a touch was second. Epic Ride was third. 1 minute, 50.08 seconds.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Kurt Becker with the call of the Bluegrass Stakes this spring. That was 4 starts ago for the ultra-talented Sierra Leone, but the last time he's found his way to the winner's circle. Not like he's been disgraced. I said it earlier. He has been competitive in all 3 tries since then, just hasn't found a way to put it all together and get back to the winner's circle. Maybe today is the day, and that would be music to the ears of his trainer, Chad Brown, who has saddled nearly 2,700 winners in his career, yet to win the Travers, his hometown race, if you will, as a native of Saratoga. He would love to see Sierra Leone get some redemption and vindication this afternoon. We'll see if he can pull it off. Chad is with us now. Chad, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Man, so Sierra Leone, when you think about what he's been through in his career, I'd imagine it's got to be a little frustrating for you that he hasn't gotten back to the winner's circle since that effort at Keeneland, but he always shows up.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's been a very consistent horse. Unfortunately, he's had a couple narrow defeats by horses that ran just the race of their lives really to beat him. So I'm very proud of how consistent he's been. Yeah, the results have been disappointing that he hasn't been able to win, but he's never disappointed with his effort. He always shows up.
Yeah, he always shows up, and never off the board in 7 lifetime starts. Coming into the Travers today, what are you seeing from him that leads you to believe he's sitting on another big effort?
Very consistent training horse. His works have been excellent. He's very fit and experienced now. He's matured quite a bit mentally, and he's just in a good rhythm. He's moving great.
He certainly has the pedigree to pull it off. You hear this all the time when we come to the Travers, Chad, and I'm sure you want to stop being asked this question, but as a native of Saratoga, winning the Travers Stakes, it has to be like right up there at the top of your list.
Absolutely, yeah. My earliest memories of even being attracted to horse racing was just going to the Travers and the meet in general. From my parents during August back then, it was just really in August. It was a short meet, and the Travers was really the highlight of our summer of our family to go see the race. So to have a chance to win the race with 2 of the 8 horses is just an incredible feeling for our family, and hopefully one of them can win.
One of the things with Sierra Leone that has kept him from finding his way back to the winner's circle is his propensity to either break slow or to not run perfectly straight in the stretch, all those types of things that we see from him on tape. What do you see that leads you to believe that, okay, I've done enough with this horse, he's ready to put it together mentally here?
He's been very consistent. It's hard thing to predict if he's going to lean in and such in his races. He's done it sharply in two of the races, in the Remsen and Kentucky Derby. Other races, it's been subtle, even when he's won. So we've never seen anything, any serious leaning in the mornings, really, ever. So it's a hard thing to work on when he won't really recreate it in the mornings. But nevertheless, we've tried different things, and some things have seemed to work. And right now, I just couldn't be happier with how focused and straight he's moving, and how mature he's become.
If he wins the Travers, is he back in the conversation for a 3-year-old championship?
I feel, given his consistency, yes. It would still be far from settled. Certainly, if one of these 3-year-olds popped up and won the Classic, that would be a huge factor in determining who ultimately is named 3-year-old champion. But it at least put him in that conversation, a very short list of horses that are still on the hunt for it.
It'll be easy for you to watch your 2 entrants in the Travers break from the starting gate because they're breaking side by side. Sierra Leone in post 2. You have Unmatched Wisdom in post number 3. Comes out of that huge win in the Keeneland. He's never lost. Tell me about Unmatched Wisdom.
This horse is always been a talented horse. We've always thought of him as one of our top 3-year-old prospects going along on the dirt, going back to his 2-year-old year. Unfortunately, he missed his debut in the fall due to pneumonia, and he's quite sick, this horse. And he was able to overcome it. It took some time, and he did get a late start in his career, but he's made up a lot of ground fast. And it's a huge jump for him, but he's got some things to like. He's the alternative choice if you're looking for a fresher horse. He's got good positional speed. He's shown he can rate or go to the lead. And he's getting the meet's leading jockey, and Irad Ortiz. He's got to run over the track. So, I could see him being very forward in this race, maybe in the second flight, tracking a couple of the pacemakers. And and potentially getting the first run on those horses if he's going to fire today.
Yeah, it seems like they would complement each other well. Unmatched Wisdom with a bit more early speed, or quite a bit more early speed than Sierra Leone. He's going to be coming from further back. It seems like you got a nice pair of bookends.
I think so, potentially, and it's certainly a good feeling to have two leading riders with Irad and Flavian. So there's a lot of things pointing towards having at least a good chance going into a race that's so difficult to win.
All right, you're also represented in two other Grade 1 races on the Travers Day undercard. The Ballerina, you'll send out Sheeta Beauty and a seed in that race. Tell me a little bit more about them and the Ballerina.
Yeah, both horses are nice horses. Off the pace would be Sheeta Beauty further back, and a seed has good positional speed but prefers a target. A seed's really moved forward this season. Give her a break after her 3-year-old season where she kind of had a mixed campaign, always showed some flashes of being a great stake level horse, and ultimately just needed some time to mature a bit, and has come back and been very consistent this year, a seed. And Sheeta Beauty has that late running style that can sometimes bring an upset if there's a very strong pace, or at least get a piece of the race. So we'll see how it goes.
We saw Domestic Product in the Kentucky Derby after he won the Tampa Bay Derby. Today, he will cut back in the Allen Jerkins 7/8 of a mile. Tell me about that move.
Yeah, we've it worked with his sire. Horse I trained, Practical Joke, won this race on a cutback out of the Haskell. So it had been in the back of my mind, or early on, I really did think he wanted more distance, not a cutback like his sire. But the more we got to learn about him, I did change my mind about him. And as he's developed, he's shown me that he does prefer one turn and with a good pace in front of him. So he should get both of those things. But it is a real war, this race. There's several horses that can win, and they're top horses. So it's going to be a tough one. But if he gets the right pace set up, I think he's got at least a chance.
Chad, I mentioned all those career wins that you've been able to rack up, and the totals just continue to flow for you. You're once again atop the trainer standings here at Saratoga. How much do trainers pay attention to those types of things, being the leading trainer at a prestigious meet like Saratoga?
Well, before me and my team have ever won one, it was something we paid a lot of attention to because it was one of our goals, and to compete up here. I mean, me personally, being from up here, a lot of friends and family and fans up here. So we just really feel like our home court advantage, and there's so many people rooting for us to win each day in the meet. And then as time's evolved, and we've gotten better horses, and we have loftier goals like the Travers or all these grade ones. We've won 3 grade ones at the meet. All right, it's been great. Me and my team don't pay as much attention to it, but it is nice to be there on top. We don't take it for granted. It's far from over. Maybe that last week of the meet, the competitive nature of us is, sure, we want to win. We'd rather win than not win it. So if we're lucky enough to win it again, it would be great. And I know a lot of people in the Capital Region would be hoping that we would end up on top.
Yeah, Chad Brown here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Chad, all the best later this afternoon. Keep it rolling, and I'm sure we'll catch up again down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Anytime. Take care.
All right, Chad Brown here on HRRN. And, yeah, he's loaded in a lot of those races, and I liked his when he started talking about Domestic Product, and he was talking about the cutback, and it worked for his sire, Practical Joke, who Chad knows very well, and I assume that he knows Domestic Product equally as well. And keep an eye on that horse today. 9-2 in that Allen Jerkins, and on the turn back, I think could be very, very dangerous in that spot this afternoon. But he has 2 chances to add his first Travers to his resume. It would be special for him. You heard him talk about his experience of being at the Travers for the first time and being around his family. We'll see. Is Sierra Leone the one to get it done for him later today? Who knows? He has 2 chances in there. We'll see if he can pull it off. When I come back, we go down the road to the Breeders' Cup right here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 29th through September 11th, showcasing 7 days of racing with $34 million in purses, including the world's richest maiden races at $170,000 for Kentucky breds. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America with 6 $2 million stakes races on September 7th and 15 of 18 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds. Also on September 7th is the FanDuel TV U.S. Open Turf Championships, including 2 Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races. Reserved seats on sale at the KentuckyDowns.com. There's unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
Monmouth Park's summer season rolls on with live racing action starting at 12:50 every weekend. Monmouth's 2023 season featured its highest average field size since 2015, the perfect recipe for a prolific payday. With a stakes race every Saturday and Sunday, plus the Win Early Pick 5, Monmouth Park is your summer place to profit. Attending on site? Lock in your odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack. For more information, visit our website at monmouthpark.com.
Talking with Dr. Jim Chiappetta of Flair Equine Nasal Strips. Jim, do the strips help with EIPH?
Essentially, all horses that work hard are vulnerable to EIPH. As with any elite athlete, we are pushing performance horses to their physiological limits, and when we do, things can break. In this case, blood vessels in the lungs. Nothing stops EIPH. Only 2 things have been clinically proven to reduce EIPH: Flair strips and Lasix. Alone or with Lasix, Flair strips protect horses from EIPH.
Learn more at flairstrips.com/learn.
It's time to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
But it's Saudi Crown who has the advantage from National Treasure. Ushbartasoro from a mile back continues to stay on. Also staying on strongly is Senor Buscador. Out in front, Saudi Crown with 150 metres to last. Still has the lead, National Treasure. Ushbartasoro late on the scene and right down the outside. Senor Buscador, the lead is taken by Ushbartasoro, but right on the line. Senor Buscador might have tipped him out. Certainly the rider thinks so. Senor Buscador and Ushbartasoro over the top of Saudi Crown and National Treasure. And those were clear from Derma Sotogake. Crown Pride was next.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. I told you earlier that there is racing outside of Saratoga this weekend. It's a big one on the West Coast at Del Mar. The Grade 2 Pat O'Brien, a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile Division. It does feature Senor Buscador. You just heard the call of him winning the Saudi Cup back on February 24th. That was just before he went to Dubai and finished third in the Group 1, Grade 1 Dubai World Cup on March 30th. We haven't seen him since, but he's back in action today for trainer Todd Fincher, who was up bright and early on the West Coast. Typical trainer style. He's up early, and he's with us now here on HRN. Todd, appreciate the visit.
I appreciate that call. You give me chills all over again listening to that race call.
You and I talked before that race. We talked after that race. But just put into words what that moment was like for you when he crossed the finish line.
It was undescribable. It was just, we expected him to run good, and we thought he could win, but it just seemed all lost, even halfway down the stretch. We're thinking, get up for third or something like that. So the emotions right when he hit the wire were something undescribable.
He has really come into his own here in 2024. He gets beat just a neck in the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup Invitational. Then he wins the Saudi Cup. Then he finishes third in Dubai. He has continued to show up on these big international stages. You bring him back in the 7-furlong race today. Talk about that decision.
Yeah, it's a comeback race. He's my training style's not super aggressive, so trying to go a mile and a quarter off a long layoff, you'd really have to push a horse, and that would be our only other option. But I think he's fit, for 7 furlongs. He's training great. his last work was very impressive for him. You know, he's not a great workhorse by himself, but he worked unbelievable in my eyes. So I'm not worried about the distance. You know, you have to have the race has to set up for him because he's a stone cold closer. So I believe he'll run a great race. What happens, we'll see. But it's a good comeback race. Start getting his legs back under him.
Yeah, I know you want to win it, obviously, but you kind of get the sense that there are bigger fish to fry down the road, right?
Yeah, we're looking long term. We're not we're not just headed for one race. You know, we've got him pointed to this race, and he's doing great. But like you said, it's not the long term goal.
I would assume, Todd, and correct me if I'm wrong, they say you're never supposed to assume, but I would assume that the goal for him is probably going to be the Breeders' Cup Classic, even if he were to win this race today and earn a spot in the dirt mile?
Yeah, I mean, the next step would be the California Crown race on the 28th at Santa Anita, going a mile and 8, and that'll, just progressively stretch him out and get his legs under him, and hopefully he'll run good there and go on to the Classic. That would be that's the ultimate goal right now.
It's been nearly 5 months since we last saw him on the racetrack with that race in Dubai. What have the past 5 months been like for Senor Buscador?
Well, he had to travel quite a bit, and then coming back was probably the worst. I guess they had to fly from Dubai to Brussels, and then to Chicago, and then van down, and then fly out to. So he had a hell of a trip back. So, and he had, like you said, he was on a great run, and just gave him a little downtime. Just let him sit out there in the pasture and eat grass, and just kind of recover, and just started bringing him back at his own pace. And I think we got him really good right now. I wouldn't want to put another work in him or anything like that. I think he's ready.
We hear that quite often with the connections of horses who go overseas and then come back. It can take them a while to kind of get back up to speed again or back up to their peak form. What is it about that trip that just takes so much out of a horse, Todd?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen great horses like Arrogate never run a jump again after going overseas. But, I mean, every horse is different, obviously. Buscador's been a great traveler. And, I mean, personally, I'm not worried about it. I know it's a possibility, but he sure doesn't seem like it's affected him negatively at all. So no, he's doing great, and we'll just see. I mean, hopefully he fires like he usually does. So
yeah,
that's what we're expecting.
And I'm going to, again, I'll assume here again, Todd, that the decision to go out west has to do with the Breeders' Cup being there at Del Mar, correct?
Yeah, and I've been coming to Del Mar the last few years, bringing some horses, and they've been great to me here at Del Mar. And I brought other horses. It's just hard to split up so many different directions. I'm not a huge stable like some of these guys, but I do have some very nice horses this year, so we just decided to take the whole bunch out here and give it a whirl.
Well, you're going to have to contend with the very speedy Calbred, the Chosen Vron, in today's Pat O'Brien. He's the 3-5 morning line favorite. You said you're going to need some help with the pace to set it up for Senor Buscador, who's going to come from off the pace. Do you see enough speed in there to keep the Chosen Vron company on the front end?
I hope so. I hope they blister the first half. But you never know. There's some horses on the inside other than him that are nice horses too, but there seems to be quite a bit of speed, not a abundance, but it should be enough to set it up. If the track plays fair, it'll help too. This track's been very speed biased this meet, but hopefully it's getting a little fairer. But it's been, if you're on the lead and on the rail, you're pretty much home free. But 7 furlongs a different race. It's a long sprint, and I think it actually favors closers. So whatever happens, but we're looking for him to run a really nice race today.
Yeah, and we know that the last time he ran at a similar distance, if you will, it was in the 1 mile Grade 2 Cigar Mile. That was on December 2nd at Aqueduct last year, and he came flying at the end, ended up second in that race. So I would assume that a similar tactic is in place today, and if he can get some help on the front end, you're going to have a horse that's going to be running and maybe picks up all the pieces and gets the victory. But as you said, just setting him up for the next step.
Right, yeah. I mean, whatever happens. The track, if there's a track bias or there's a fast or slow pace, all that's out of our control. All we're looking for is a really good race out of him and start getting his legs under him a little more and get ready for the big boys at the classic distances. So
yeah. And a new pilot aboard today with Joe Talamo, who is certainly more than capable of handling the assignment. Do you have to kind of educate him a little more in the paddock than you would a guy like Junior Alvarado, who's very familiar with him?
No, not really. I mean, this is his 20th start, and this is his 10th different jockey. So the horse is really not that hard to ride. I mean, you just leave him alone, let him do his thing, and he just gradually gets into the race as it goes and has a hell of a kick at the end. So basically just stay out of his way and just, your decision isn't going to be until about the turn or a little before the turn what you start doing. But just let him do his thing and stay out of his way, and he's going to give you everything he's got. So Joe's fitting well in the mornings. I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's just the horse doing really good or if Joe fits him really well, but he's been working him and earned him out.
Yeah, you talked about his last work, 59-1, the second best of 46 workers on August 16th at Del Mar. That'll pick up your head a little bit.
Yeah, then like I said, the horse, if you want to get a good work out of him, you got to put a target up in front of him. But he had a good work the time before, so we just went with the target. And then the last work, we just decided to go on his own, and he was really impressive working like that. That was super impressive for him. So very happy with him.
Well, Todd, I really appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. I know that you've got a lot on your plate there this morning. Really appreciate it, and all the best with Senor Buscador. It's going to be great to see him back in action this afternoon.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Todd Fincher here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. The Grade 2 Pat O'Brien is really tailor-made for a horse that comes off the pace. And I mean that being 7/8 of a mile, it, as Todd said, that can sometimes favor horses coming from off the pace if the early pace setters get hooked up and go too fast. I don't know if there's anybody quick enough in this race to keep the Chosen Vron company or not. The Chosen Vron has been a horse that can sit just off the pace. So if somebody wants to go out there and go crazy and go 21-3 for the opening quarter mile, that's okay. The Chosen Vron can sit off of it, and that's what he's done in his past couple of starts. So when you look at the pace scenario that Senor Buscador is hoping to get, it may not materialize in that fashion. You'll have horses like Raging Torrent, who the last couple of starts went right to the front. Not blistering fractions, but 22-1. He was running. Happy Jack has shown speed from time to time, but he's not as quick as those other horses. So I think that it puts the Chosen Vron in the driver's seat. He'll get first run on Senor Buscador. But like Todd pointed out, this is just a stepping stone, a start back. So if Senor Buscador finishes well, if he ends up second, if he ends up third, but he's running at the end and he gets his legs back underneath him, Todd's going to be very happy with that, looking ahead to the California Crown at Santa Anita. That's that new $1 million race that's introduced. He'll be happy with that next month. And then, of course, a run at the Breeders' Cup Classic. Either way, it's just fun to see Senor Buscador back in action. The 6-year-old son of Mineshaft, ready to roll for Todd Fincher and Joe Talamo this afternoon. If you're wondering about the post time for that Grade 2 Pat O'Brien, it is 9:03 Eastern, 6:03 locally on the West Coast, where the turf meets the surf. When I come back, I'll take a look at a couple of historical dates in racing history. I'll give you an update on the poll question, and I'll tell you what's ahead in hour number 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your social security number or other personal information and tell you that your social security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your social security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is jockey Brian Hernandez. For me, there's no bigger thrill than crossing the finish line in front, and nobody captures the excitement of our sport like Horse Racing Radio Network. Each week, HRRN brings you exclusive talk shows, podcasts, and in-depth conversations with the biggest names in racing, jockeys, trainers, owners, and more. Plus, HRRN is committed to helping disabled riders through their support of the PDJF. So climb aboard a winner today by visiting horseracingradio.net.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, I'm asking you, which horse are you cheering for in today's Travers Stakes? That's our poll question at HRRN on X, formerly Twitter, and Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. You can weigh in that way, too. Thorpedo Anna leading the way with 48% of the vote. Dornoch second. Fierceness third in the voting so far. A couple of you have commented with other horses. You can email the show, too, Mike at horseracingradio.net, to let me know which horse you're most excited to watch or which horse you're going to be cheering for this afternoon in the Midsummer Derby. LT from Louisville says, lots of speed sign on today. I think it's time for a classic Kurt Becker call from the late 80s. Here comes Sierra Leone. He's on fire, middle of the racetrack. I think he'll swoop by them. LT, appreciate that one. And Tom in St. Louis says, I am rooting for Fierceness as I have thought he was the best of this crop. However, I don't think he will win with the pace scenario so fast with Dornoch, Thorpedo Anna, Fierceness, and Batten Down setting a brisk pace. I think Urad will rate the talented Chad Brown horse and win. All right, we'll find out if Tom in St. Louis is correct in here as well. When the Travers goes to the post right around 6:10 Eastern time this afternoon. Well, you heard Nick Zito earlier. You heard Jena Antonucci looking back on a couple of memorable Travers Stakes. They are part of the fabric and the history of thoroughbred racing and certainly of that race. Well, time now to take a look at a couple other dates in racing history as they apply to this particular weekend. Yesterday, August 23rd, 1956, was the anniversary of Carl Gambardella riding his first career winner aboard Roland Warm at Hagerstown. Yesterday also, the anniversary, August 23rd, 1974, of the Frank Whiteley-trained Ruffian, winning the Spinaway Stakes by 13 lengths at Saratoga, ending her 2-year-old season a perfect 5 for 5. Ruffian was subsequently, as you can imagine, voted champion juvenile filly of 1974. Boy, was she good. August 24th, 1968, today, the anniversary of Dr. Fager carrying 134 pounds. Did you hear me? 134 pounds. He set the then world record for a mile in the Washington Park Handicap at Arlington. The time for his 10-length victory was 132 1/5. Carrying 134 pounds. That surpassed the previous record of 132 3/5, which was set by 3-year-old Buck Passer in 1966. Those are dates in racing history as they apply to this particular weekend, Travers weekend, here in the world of thoroughbred racing. My thanks to all of the guests who joined me in the first 2 hours of the program. We have hour 3 coming up here shortly, but you heard from Tim Wilkin, you heard from Mark Edwards and Anna Thorp, you heard from Zito, you heard from Antonucci, Chad Brown, and Todd Fincher. Plenty more coming your way here in the third hour of the program. If the local station you're listening on is leaving us at this time, continue listening to the third hour of the program nationwide on Sirius 162, XM 207, ESPN 680 in the Louisville, Kentucky market, or stream us at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum coming up next right after I pause. 10 seconds for station ID. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Hilda's Passion just runs away from them all through the stretch, will win all by herself. Almost won the ballerina by 10 lengths.
AP Indian has run away to a 2.5-length lead as Stalwalking Dude has moved up into second. Tamarco's late on the scene. He's second now, but AP Indian is coming home to victory again in the forego.
Here comes Unitarian, Arctic North between horses. Unitarian runs to the front. Javier Castellano and Unitarian are going away to win the H. Allen Jerkins by 4.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Point of entry coming down to the line. Alcali then moves that down toward the rail in brilliant speed. And in the Hall of Fame hands of Johnny Velasquez, and a Hall of Fame ride it was. Point of entry wins the Sword Dancer.
They're coming down for the finish. It is Essential Quality and Midnight Bourbon. Essential Quality has won the Run Happy Travers. He won the Belmont with class. He wins the Run Happy Travers with style.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Welcome back. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Happy to have you with me as we barrel toward the finish line. Plenty more content ahead in this third hour of the program, including the TwinSpires Triple Play. Ashley Anderson will have the honors coming up here shortly. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. A tremendous story about the last filly to win the Travers. Will there be another one this afternoon? We'll find out shortly after the conclusion of race 13. And then I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin coming up at 10:30 Eastern. Plenty of Travers content for you in that segment of the program as well. If you missed any portion of the first 2 hours of the program, head back to the website, horseracingradio.net. You can listen at your leisure. You can do that, too, on every podcast platform. Don't forget, too, to visit us on social media. Many of you are doing that here this morning to weigh in on the poll question. You can go to @HRRN on X, formerly Twitter, and you can do that, too, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. Time now to kick off Hour 3, as we do every week, with the TwinSpires Triple Play. And as I mentioned, Ashley Anderson is here. Last weekend, she made the trip to Woodbine for the King's Plate, which, of course, was run yesterday. And today she joins us looking ahead to Travers Day at Saratoga. She's a very, very busy person, and we appreciate the time here this morning. Ashley, happy to have you aboard.
Happy to be here. I am not at Saratoga this weekend, unfortunately, but yes, I have been on the road for 3 weeks and very excited to be back at home.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. But you have selected 3 races from Saratoga in this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. Races 11, 12, and 13. So 3 in succession. I like that approach, and I can't wait to hear some of your thoughts there. But let's start by talking about a promo taking place at TwinSpires later today.
Yeah, so we have 2 promos specifically for Saratoga on Saturday. Starting off with the Breeders' Cup Challenge 15% profit boost. If you opt in at TwinSpires, you'll get a 15% boost on winning Win, Exacta, Trifecta, and Superfecta wagers on all eligible races at Saratoga on Saturday. Plus, we have a money-back offer on races 10, 11, 12, and 13. So I'll be talking 11, 12, and 13 and giving you some picks you can play with that money-back offer.
Outstanding. And race 11 is the 7-furlong Grade 1 Forgo with a purse of $500,000. Post time 4:55 Eastern. A field of 8 has been slated to go to the post in here. How'd you see it?
So I'm going with number 8, Cagliostro at 9-2 through the far outside. This is a 4-year-old who's been running at a route distance in his last 10 races, actually, but last out race at a mile in the Hanshin Stakes at Churchill Downs and won by a length, had the lead at the second call. And if you look at his last 3 starts, has actually had a 2-length lead in the stretch, racing at a longer distance, cutting back to 7 furlongs today. This is a late runner with a lot of early speed signed on, has a very sharp workout August 16th at Keeneland, and Jose Ortiz is aboard. He's doing really well, paired up with Cherie DeVaux right now at Saratoga. So I'm going with the late runner on the far outside in this race.
Yeah, Cagliostro, 9-2, as you mentioned, from the barn of Cherie DeVaux. The favorite in here, number 6, Mulligan, from the barn of Rodolphe Brisset. Flavien Prat going to be aboard, 8-5 on the morning line. Has some early speed, but has shown the ability to sit just off the pace, as he did in winning the John Nehrude last time out on July 6th. You're playing against him. How come?
So looking at his last 3 starts, he was facing Allowance Company in 2 of those, and then in a Grade 2 last out, just beat 4 rivals. I feel like, he had a good Brisnet speed figure in that race, but looking at the competition, I didn't really feel like he had to beat a whole lot, and so I feel like going against this field, it's much tougher here today, so I'm going to play against. And I think, again, with a lot of other early runners, we might get a hot pace, and it sets up nicely for Cagliostro. We also have, on the rail, we also have a late runner in Gun Pilot, but that's a 3-1 choice. Also, just race at Saratoga and finish 3rd by 6 lengths to Baby Yoda, also in this field. So I'm going Cagliostro.
All right,
over Gun Pilot as well.
Cagliostro it is in race 11 for Ashley Anderson. That is the Grade 1 Forgo, 9-2 on the morning line. Let's move on to the next race, Ashley. Race number 12. That is the Grade 1 H. Allen Jerkins Memorial, 7/8 of a mile on the main track. Who wins this one?
I went with number 5, Prince of Monaco at 4-1. And Prince of Monaco is a Bob Baffert runner who, starting out, was racing at a sprint distance, won his first 3 starts, then stretched out in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and finished a distant 5th to Fierceness, cut back in distance again in the Woody Stevens, had a troubled trip in that race, got bumped at the start, pinched back, and then rallied late and was beaten just a half length to Bookham Dano, the morning line favorite in this race. So I'm looking for a better start from Prince of Monaco here. It is a very deep field, but I think he can get the job done. John Velasquez picking up the mount as well. So I like him here as one of the early runners, and he also ranks the highest in Brisnet Prime Power, so that's always something I look at as well. I'm looking for a better start here today.
Okay, so you mentioned Brisnet Prime Power, and I also, as you know, use the Brisnet past performances. I have for many, many years. I think they're superior to anything else on the market. The Prime Power number. I know you probably don't know all the data that goes into it, but size it, break it down into very simple terms for listeners. What does that number mean?
So it does factor a lot of different elements. You're looking at, the horse's previous class. You're looking at, it factors in, age, sex. It looks at the type of competition they're racing against. There's a whole lot of different elements that goes into this number. And ultimately, Brisnet comes up with a figure for each horse in a particular field. And then kind of the standard that they say, if you see a horse with, say, a 10-point differential. If Prince of Monaco were 10 points higher than Timberlake, then about the percentage is about 55% of the time that horse with the highest prime power would win. In this case, Prince of Monaco is 3 points higher than Timberlake. So, it's a little bit closer in this field, but I still feel like that's a significant jump here with a 147.5 over Timberlake's 144.9. And then Bookham Dano is third in prime power, actually. So, again, I feel like that's a vulnerable morning line favorite in this race.
Yeah, I think that's interesting to note that his prime power number, whatever kind of stock you put into those numbers, is third among this group, even though he is the morning line favorite. Bookham Dano has been really, really good throughout his entire career. When you're playing a race like this where you have a 7-2 morning line favorite in a 11-horse race, if all horses do go later today, you like a 4-1 shot. Do you just play the horse on top, or do you try to hook up Prince of Monaco and a couple of exactas or trifectas? How do you do it?
Well, if I were playing, say like a trifecta, I might play Prince of Monaco on top with, Timberlake. I'm also looking at domestic product cutting back in distance. If I'm playing a super, I might actually play, 2 horses to potentially come in first or second. So I actually think domestic product is very dangerous here at 9-2 as well. Just absolutely dominated the Dwyer last out, but only had to beat 3 rivals in that race. But this is Chad Brown at Saratoga, Flavian Proud aboard as well. So if you're going to play another horse in your exotics, I would certainly take a look at number 3 domestic product at 9-2.
All right, but the top pick for Ashley here in race 12 at Saratoga, the Alan Jerkins Memorial, is number 5 Prince of Monaco at 4-1 with Johnny V riding for Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. Okay, race 13, it is the big one, the Grade 1 Travers, and here we go. The filly taking on the boys. Are you going to stick with the lady in here, or are you going to try and beat Thorpedo Anna?
As much as I would love to see Thorpedo Anna win this race and make some history here, because we haven't seen a filly win the Travers since 1915, I have to go with Sierra Leone. I have been a big fan of this horse for a long time, and he's on a little bit of a losing streak, and so that means we're getting a better price on him today. He's 7-2 on the morning line, the 4th choice on the morning line. And looking at this race and the pace scenario here, Thorpedo Anna, Fierceness, Dornoch, they all are likely to go for the early lead. Plus, you've got Batten Down, who likes to go for the early lead. I'm expecting a really hot pace, and that would set up perfectly for our late closer here, Sierra Leone. And he also is breaking from post 2, the same post that he broke from in the Kentucky Derby where he was beaten just a nose at 1.25 miles. Now, he is racing at 1.25 miles for the 3rd time, and he finished 2nd and 3rd in his previous tries. But I think today, being on that 3-loss streak, this horse is too good, and he costs too much money to extend his losing streak any farther. I think as long as he stays straight in the stretch run, which we haven't seen yet, if he can do that, then he certainly should win this race.
Okay, so you say losing streak, and yes, he has lost 3 consecutive starts since winning the Bluegrass Stakes back on April 6th, but he was beaten just a nose to Mystic Dan in the Kentucky Derby. He was only beaten 1.5 lengths when he was 3rd in the Belmont after that stumbling beginning, and then in the Jim Dandy, he's only beaten 1 length, and as you said, maybe wasn't even as sharp as he can be that day, but he still ran great. So it's not like he's being embarrassed in these 3 losses. He just hasn't been able to get over the hump yet and get back to the winner's circle.
Right. And if you look at the Jim Dandy, he was racing 1.1 miles. He was closing late, beating a length. So, if he had been racing 1.25 miles, maybe we saw him win the race that day. But, it was a shorter distance for him, and he had good energy at the finish. So I feel like 1.25 miles here today, this could be the winning formula for him. And again, he's placed in his last 3. It's not like he's finished far back. So this is a really good horse. He just, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to get the job done in his last 3 starts.
Who knew back on December 2nd of last year when we saw Dornoch hold off Sierra Leone? Sierra Leone looked like he was home free in the Grade 2 Remsen at Aqueduct that day. Dornoch battles back, proves how game he is. That hasn't been a fluke. We know he's a gutsy horse when he gets hooked in the stretch. Dornoch wins by a nose over Sierra Leone that day. Who would have forecast that sitting here on August 24th we'd be looking at these 2 squaring off in the Travers Stakes? It doesn't often play out that way.
Right, and I was not the biggest supporter of Dornoch. in his 2-year-old season or early in his 3-year-old season, but he has really shown some fight, especially the last two. You know, he's been overtaken in the stretch in the Belmont and the Haskell and in the Rimson, and then fought back and was able to win. So you can't count out Dornoch, but with all of this early speed, I don't think he's going to like being pushed early, so I don't think this is his race today.
Champion Fierceness finally pair up back-to-back victories for the first time in his career?
I don't know. We haven't seen it happen yet, and he's, you know, coming off, I mean, it's less than a month since his last race. I feel like normally he likes a little bit more rest, so I'm very skeptical. But, you know, maybe this is the time we see him finally string together 2 wins.
Yeah, you obviously don't think it happens because you're playing against him with Sierra Leone, but he is 2 for 2 at Saratoga, including that win in the Grade 2 Jim Dandy, so maybe the horse for course angle applies to Fierceness. He can find a way to get back-to-back victories and throw himself back into the conversation for a 3-year-old championship with a victory in the Midsummer Derby this afternoon. Ashley, let me recap these 3 choices for you. You're going to go in race 11 at Saratoga. You're going to take number 8, Cagliostro, at odds of 9-2. Race 12 at Saratoga, number 5, Prince of Monaco is your top pick, morning line 4-1. And in race 13, the Travers, you will go with number 2, Sierra Leone, at odds of 7-2. Again, there is no specific TwinSpires triple play wager at TwinSpires, but when you go there, you can bet these races and all the races you're going to play. Just make sure you're doing it at TwinSpires, and you can take Ashley's comments and advice any way you like and play those races however you want to do it at TwinSpires this afternoon. Ashley, before I let you go, quick thoughts on a tournament taking place in Western Kentucky, Ellis Park, with some BCBC and NHC seats on the line.
Yeah, so at Ellis Park, we have another TwinSpires tournament. If you go to TwinSpires.com in the tournaments tab, you can learn more, but you can play for a chance to earn a seat at the BCBC, and we have 2 entries to the NHC up for grabs. It's a $750 qualifier tournament, and so you get $500 to your bankroll, and then $250 goes to the prize pool. So cash is up for grabs as well, but also those seats in those bigger tournaments are on the line, so very exciting.
All right, Ashley, appreciate it this morning. Good luck with those picks and all the races you're going to bet later today.
Thank you.
All right, Ashley Anderson with the TwinSpires triple play. Coming up next, Kurt Becker takes you on his Stroll Through Racing History as he tells you about the last filly to win the Travers 109 years ago. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live racing at Ellis Park runs July 4th through August 26th with the first post of 12:50 p.m. Eastern, Saturday through Monday. Highlights include a record $3.7 million in stakes purses across 18 races, including Kentucky Downs Preview Weekend, August 3rd and 4th, and Ellis Park Derby Day on Sunday, August 11th. Average daily purses are more than $615,000. For more information, visit ellisparkracing.com. Purses powered by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund.
In Virginia, horses create jobs. Just ask farrier Justin Phillips.
My grandfather started it. He started shoeing just because back then it was hard to get anyone to come do their horses regularly. So he went to farrier school just to do his own horses, and then started doing more and more and escalated from there. Now we have 5 farriers with the same last name and about 7 other ones that work with us. My grandfather at 74 is still shoeing horses. It's our livelihood. Yeah, he started a legacy.
Virginia's economy wins with horses.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here. Weekend racing returns with afternoon racing on Thursdays and Saturdays and a new late afternoon post of 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5, now offered twice daily. Join us for our biggest day of the season on August 10th at 1 p.m. for Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, featuring 7 stakes races, including the Grade 1 Arlington Million. And then September 7th, we'll wrap up the season with the Virginia Derby. Colonial Downs, rich history, bright future.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. She won 2 major stakes races at Saratoga in August of 1915, both under controversial circumstances. One of those wins came in the Travers, and no filly has won the race since. Her name was Lady Rota. Foaled in 1912 at Blue Ridge Farm in Virginia of breeder Henry T. Oxnard, Lady Rota was a bay filly from the first crop by Fayette. Her mother was a mare named Sandy Bar, which had both Australian and British influences in her pedigree. Described as a racy and trim-looking filly, Lady Rota took her name from the title of an 1894 novel by Stanley Weyman. It was said that the novel told a heartwarming love story against a backdrop of political and social change during the 30 Years' War. With Matt Smart as her trainer and with Baltimore native Wilmer Ward as her jockey, Lady Rota made her career debut as a juvenile on May 6, 1914 at Pimlico. Showing a burst of speed, she easily disposed of the opposition, according to the official chart. She also pulled a shocking upset, paying $173 on a $2 win ticket. The Baltimore Sun reported that the crowd was too stunned to applaud. Lady Rota moved to Belmont Park for the month of June, where she won back-to-back races as the favorite, including the neophyte handicap at 5.5 furlongs. After mixed results marked the remainder of her campaign as a 2-year-old, Lady Rota was sold to Andrew Miller, a founding partner of Life magazine and secretary of the Saratoga Racing Association. The filly would move to the barn of trainer A.J. Goldsboro, and future Hall of Famer Mac Garner, age 16 at the time, would be her new jockey. Making her season's debut on May 7, 1915 at Churchill Downs, Lady Rota won a key prep for the Kentucky Oaks. But other fillies would soon gain more attention. The next day, for example, Regret would become the first filly ever to win the Kentucky Derby, while Water Blossom would win the Kentucky Oaks 2 weeks later as Lady Rota ran third. June and July would bring a string of losses, including an off-the-board finish against males in the Tarrytown Stakes at Belmont Park. As one turf writer put it, Lady Rota's good races are good, but her bad races are very bad. She was becoming known as Andrew Miller's inconsistent filly. August 7th, 1915, the Travers Stakes at Saratoga. Goldsboro and Miller were looking for a second straight victory in the race, having won in 1914 with Horse of the Year Romer. The day was described as featuring delightful summer weather, but the track was muddy from rains earlier in the week. Lady Rota delighted the crowd during the post-parade with a routine for which she had become famous. She would exit the line, approach the grandstand, and peer intently at the spectators. She would begin to walk away, but stop again upon hearing laughter. It was said that she would look into the stands as if to say, "Do you find this entertaining? Are you enjoying yourself?" Soon, the Travers was underway. Coming past the stands the first time, a horse on the far outside by the name of Saratoga had his neck bent like a crescent, according to the New York Times. His jockey was trying to get to the rail, and in the process, he slammed into a colt named Trial by Jury, who then veered into Lady Rota. The filly was knocked off her stride, while Trial by Jury recovered and went to the lead. At the finish, Trial by Jury was in front by 6 lengths, with Lady Rota making a late run up the rail to finish second. Garner lodged a claim of foul after the race, and the stewards agreed with him that interference had been committed. But the stewards placed the blame on trial by jury, and so they disqualified him from the win and promoted Lady Rota to the victory. Following a loss 4 days later to Water Blossom in the Alabama, Lady Rota beat Males to win the Amsterdam on August 26th. In a 3-horse blanket finish, the stewards had ruled that Lady Rota won by a head, but a number of fans were outraged, claiming favorite Yankee Notions had clearly won the race. Some even said that Lady Rota had finished neither first nor second, but third. Lady Rota would return to her inconsistent ways that fall, and Miller would eventually place her in a selling race, apparently from sheer frustration. But she would later land in the broodmare band of Senator Johnson Camden's Heartland stud, where she would produce 5 winners from 7 foals, including 2 stakes horses. It has been nearly 110 years since a filly won the Travers. Perhaps that changes today. But if not, Lady Rota remains the last distaffers to win the Midsummer Derby, even if she wasn't first across the wire. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Thanks, Kurt, for that story. And remember, all of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History segments are available via podcast on our website. And don't miss our Weekend Stakes preview show with Bobby Newman and Bob Nastanovich, which is also available right now at horseracingradio.net. I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim coming up next. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
You're listening to HRRN, Horse Racing's Voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Join us at Kentucky Downs August 29th through September 11th, showcasing 7 days of racing with $34 million in purses, including the world's richest maiden races at $170,000 for Kentucky breds. The meet boasts the largest field sizes in America with 6 $2 million stakes races on September 7th and 15 of 18 stakes worth at least $1 million for Kentucky breds. Also on September 7th is the FanDuel TV U.S. Open Turf Championships, including 2 Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races. Reserved seats on sale at the KentuckyDowns.com. There's unique, and there's Kentucky Downs.
It is certainly very exciting times at Millridge Farm, with Oscar Performance making such a promising start at stud. And now, Breeders' Cup champion Aloha West has everyone's attention with how well he's breeding. So much so, Bo Lane commented, quote, "By far the best foal this mare has ever produced is an Aloha West." Recognized horse chiropractor Shirley McQuillan said, "The best first crop foals I have seen this year have been the Aloha West babies. They have great presence and quality and just stand out." Very exciting times indeed at Millridge.
There are thrills around every turn at Gulfstream Park with heart-pounding horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Join us in 10 Palms Restaurant for an elevated view of the track, or take in the races at the Carousel Club, trackside. Come out on Saturdays and enjoy high-quality stakes races, and join us all summer long for an expanded event schedule. Simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. For reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Will you accept the Breeders' Cup Challenge? The chance to compete against the best in the world? The chance to race for a piece of a record-setting $33 million in purses and awards? The chance to be a champion? Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race gives you the chance to do just that. With an invitation to horse racing's biggest event of the year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships in Del Mar, where finish lines become the start of a legacy and starting gates shine on the world stage. Win a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race and earn an automatic starting position in a Breeders' Cup race. Entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, a Nominator Award of $10,000, travel awards, and so much more. Here, winning a Challenge Series race is just the beginning. View the schedule of Challenge Series races happening around the world and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
American Pharaoh has lost the lead at the top of the stretch. Frosted on the outside is now in front, but American Pharaoh is battling on from the inside. He's showing all this fight with 1 furlong to run. And here on the far outside comes Keen Ice with a late threat. American Pharaoh put away Frosted. He has to deal with Keen Ice. Keen Ice has got him. Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Pharaoh in a dramatic upset. Frosted was third and Upstart was fourth, and a final time of 2:01.57 seconds. The Graveyard of Champions has claimed another.
With our Dale Roman set to roll with us again here this morning, it wouldn't be right to not open the show with that call of the 2015 Travers from Larry Colmus. Did Dale pull off the greatest upset in Travers history? Plus, Thorpedo Anna has taken plenty of attention away from the boys in the lead up to this afternoon's Midsummer Derby. But what odds would Dale and Tim give her to not even hit the board this afternoon? And is it time for Naira to consider adding more dates to the Saratoga meet in 2025? Those topics and much, much more are straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf rider Tim Wilkin, all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business. And it all starts just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
All right, Tim Wilkin is trackside at Saratoga. Dale Romans is in Saratoga, but he's on the golf course, so he's doing this from the course. He's probably 6 or 7 under by this point. Dale, are you winning?
So far, I'm up 2 points, so we still got a long ways to go.
And you're playing with Terry Finley, is that correct?
I'm playing with Terry Finley and Mark Holliday, the chairman of the board of NARA. Otherwise, I would have stayed home if it wasn't for important people that pay me a lot. I'd stay home and do it like I'm supposed to.
Well, good luck on the course. We're going to get right to it. Shane in North Carolina kicks things off for us again as he submits a question for you guys. Travers related. He wants to know that with this year's edition appearing to be stacked with talent, you have horses like Dornoch, Fierceness, Sierra Leone, Unmatched Wisdom, the undefeated runner from Chad Brown, and Corporate Power. With all the hype focused on Thorpedo Anna taking on the boys, what % chance would you guys give her of not hitting the board in today's Travers? Dale, why don't you kick it off?
Yeah, I think she hits the board. I'm going to give, but it's a stacked field. But like we talked about last week, she's the number 1 rated horse in America right now. She's quality. She's got speed. She'll be up there with them. She's going to hit the board. I say she's 3 to 5 to hit the board.
How about her chances of becoming the first filly to win the Travers since 1915?
It's going to be a tough for her, but she's a runner. I mean, if she gets up close to the lead and gets a clear trip, she's got a very good chance. You can make a case for half the field, but you can also make a case for throwing them out.
Timmy, what kind of odds do you give Thorpedo Anna to not hit the board?
0% that she won't hit the board since she's going to be my top pick in the race. So I think it's a 0% chance that she does not hit the board. I really like her in this spot. I just don't know what kind of animal we have on our hands here. I mean, she's beaten up on the 3-year-old fillies all year long. And, that as Kenny McPeak says, there are some chinks in the armor of these other of the colts that she's going to face. But, it's such a cool story. And I think that her ability far outweighs the cool story. I think she's a real player in this race, and I think she's going to win it.
Shane, we appreciate the question as always. If you have a question or a topic for Dale and Tim, you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, and we will get it worked in for you. You can also post your questions on our social media pages at HRRN on Twitter and Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. Guys, time to welcome our good friend Nick Zito to the program as we jump right into this week's edition of Right or Wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think?
Right or wrong?
Right or wrong? What do you think, Nikki? We're going to find out what Dale and Tim think, and we're sticking with the Travers theme for two topics here this morning, guys. The top two finishers in the Keeneland Stakes, which is a race started at Saratoga in 2009, were undefeated Unmatched Wisdom and Corporate Power. Only once in the brief history of the Keeneland has a winner won the Midsummer Derby. That was V.E. Day in 2014. Is it right or wrong to think that one of those two horses could upset this year's Travers field?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Timmy?
I think it's wrong. I did a little research on this one. I know I've been lax in doing my research during the Saratoga meet, but since the Keeneland was started to run in 2009, there have been 20 horses that have run in the Keeneland and have gone on to run in the Travers. And besides V.E. Day, the only other horse that has hit the board in the Travers was Chad Brown's Miles D in 2021. So, and most of the time the runners from the Keeneland come in and they go off at huge odds. I think Dynamic One, who ran in 2021, same year as Miles D, who finished seventh in the. No, he won the Keeneland. He finished seventh and last in the Travers at 6-1, and those were the best odds. The rest of them all have been long odds. So I think no chance.
Dale, what do you think?
I agree. I think they picked a tough year to try to win the Travers. There's too stacked a field here. I don't think they're going to do it this year.
All right, how about this one then, guys? If Fierceness, Dornoch, or Sierra Leone win today's Travers Stakes, they have locked up the 3-year-old championship, or at least have the lead in the division heading into the fall. Is that statement right or wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Dale, what do you think?
I think that it's a good chance of it. I know, like we've said before, one of them, the 3-year-old would have to come back and run really big in the Classic and beat older horses, or whoever wins here could be the champion if one of those does.
Well, if you look at Dornoch. If Dornoch wins the Travers, that gives him wins in the Belmont, the Haskell, and the Midsummer Derby. I think that's he would definitely be on the fast track to winning the 3-year-old championship. Fierceness, if he were to win it, he gets the Florida Derby and the Jim Dandy on his resume along with the Travers. Is that enough? I'm not quite so sure. And Sierra Leone, I think, would still have to do more. I don't think winning the Bluegrass and the Travers is enough to put you in the driver's seat for the top 3-year-old. I think that Dornoch has the most to gain by winning the Travers, because if he were to win the Travers, he might have almost sewn up the championship unless somebody else would come up and win the Classic.
Yeah. Definitely a lot on the line in the Midsummer Derby later today. That is right or wrong. Nick Zito will be back with us again next week with those sound bites to help us through that segment. A couple more to get to before we pass along our Showdown 3 update, and Dale and Tim get to make their West Point of the week. Guys, topic 3. In 2015, we saw one of the biggest upsets in Travers history when Keen Ice, who, if you haven't heard, was trained by our very own Dale Romans, knocked off Triple Crown winner American Pharoah. Is this the biggest upset in the history of the Travers Stakes? Dale, I hope you're not lining up a putt, because I'm coming to you first.
No, I'm good, yes. I think it probably is. I mean, it's by far the most historic race I've ever won. I won a lot of big ones, but I think of the history of it all. It's by far the most historic race I've won, and I'm going to say it was the biggest upset. I mean, American Pharoah was America's horse when he came in here, and I've said on the show many times, it shows how special the racing fans are at Saratoga. They cheered him all the way back, even though he beat their horse. They appreciate the effort he put in.
I have to agree with Dale. When a Triple Crown winner gets beat, it's a huge upset. Affirm got beat in the Travers, but that was via DQ, and it was by his longtime rival, Alidar. As far as the biggest upset, I think it has to be. And there's another Travers upset that resonates with me a little bit. When Runaway Groom in 1982 from Canada, he beat the 3 Triple Crown winners that year. He beat Gato del Sol, the Derby winner. He beat Aloma's Rule, the Preakness winner. He beat Conquistador Cielo, the Belmont winner. but that pales in comparison to beating a Triple Crown winner. I think Keen Ice wears the crown for the biggest upset in Travers history. I really do.
Bigger than Jim Dandy?
I wasn't there for that.
100-1. I think that one.
Well, Jim Dandy was pretty big, but I still think that the more recent one is the one that's going to resonate with more people.
Yeah, the modern day upset, let's call it that. It was a special day for Dale Romans, one he remembers fondly on this Travers Stakes Day. Guys, as the Saratoga meet winds down, the countdown to next year is going to begin almost immediately, and it seems like every year we're being asked the question, should the New York Racing Association start thinking about adding more days to the summer meet? Tim Wilkin, what do you think?
I hope they don't. I mean, there's already been whispers that it might happen, that next year after the Belmont Stakes that they might stay up here rather than move all the equipment back down to New York and then have to move it back up here 3 or 4 weeks later. I don't know what that cost is, but I'm assuming it's exorbitant. But I just don't. I think if they were to increase the meet, go past 40 days, and let's say they run for 3 weeks here for Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and then head into the Saratoga meet, I think it'll cheapen Saratoga. It won't give it the glow that it's always had. Even when they went to 40 days, I think it took some of the glow away from the short boutique meet that it used to be. I would be in favor of keeping it the way it is, but I'm not an idiot to realize that they're going to do more up here probably than they are going to do in New York. So once Belmont Park is complete, then what would they do? They're not going to keep they're not going to keep the days a meet longer if they expanded it up here because they just built this brand new facility. So I just hope they don't do it, but I think they might.
Dale, what do you think?
All right, I'm standing here with the chairman of the board of NYRA, Mark Holliday. I'm going to let him answer my question, give my answer.
This guy's name. Hey, guys.
Mark, what do you think? More days or what?
Look, next year's it's a special year. We're going to run Belmont Stakes at Saratoga again. I think this past season showed that, people really like the novelty of those extra dates for the stakes. I think that, while we're working on finishing up the new Belmont track, which is going to be amazing, that you could look at next year as a one-off, and if we get some more dates, I think it could be great, but we got to work it out with the town and the city, make sure everybody's on board. But I think the fan base certainly loves the product at Saratoga, and, next year would be a good year to sort of sample some extra dates, in my opinion. But that'll be a decision up to Dave and the team. All right? Mark,
are you letting Dale win today?
I don't know. It was a good match till you guys distracted him with this radio show. Now the whole thing is falling apart. So I don't know when you guys wrap, but keep talking because now I'm putting a hurt on it.
Mark, we appreciate it. Good luck out there.
Thanks.
Fantastic stuff. Who knows, Timmy? Maybe it does happen next year. It certainly sounds from those comments like we could be leaning that direction.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, something else that nobody liked was the news that came out on Monday of the passing of longtime philanthropist, the husband of Mary Lou Whitney, John Hendrickson. He died at the age of 59 this past Monday. Timmy, he's credited with helping so many people in the racing industry and in the upstate New York, Saratoga region. Your thoughts on the passing of John Hendrickson?
No, I knew John pretty well. And he was a good man who always wanted to do something to help the people of the backstretch. And that started with Mary Lou. That, his wife, they both did it, and they made life better for the people out there in the backstretch. I mean, they were behind putting the clinic out there for backstretch workers because they were very concerned that a lot of the backstretch workers wouldn't go look for any kind of medical help if they had to go off campus, so to speak. And they got this facility built for them. He's just a good guy. Loved racing, loved Saratoga. And it's a blow because he was only 59. He took really good care of himself, and he'll be missed. I mean, and what he did with Mary Lou was in her final years, mean, he was such a great caregiver to her, treated her so well. And it's just sad that, he didn't get a longer life. But he'll be missed.
Yeah, people like John are few and far between. I mean, he's one of the great philanthropists of the game for sure, and the things he did for horse racing. I mean, I don't know who could step up and do the stuff that he's done. He's way too young, 59 years old, to pass away, and he can't be replaced. I mean, the game took a great blow this week.
Yep, he will certainly be missed. Rest in peace, John Hendrickson, and our condolences and sympathies going out to everyone who was associated with him and knew and loved John Hendrickson. Guys, a quick update on the Showdown 3 before we wrap this up with your West Point of the Week. We move into the penultimate weekend here in the month of August. Dale's team victory is in front of Tim's Lost in the Fog stable by a flared nostril, as Tom Durkin used to say. He leads 35-34 with my Team Mush stable now at the back of the pack with 30 points. However, we are, of course, recording this on Friday morning, and Idiomatic is running in the Personal Ensign Stakes here Friday afternoon. So there's a chance that as we're airing this segment and people are listening to it on Saturday morning, I may now be in the lead, but Idiomatic has to deliver on Friday afternoon in order for that to happen. I have the Chosen Vron going in the Pat O'Brien Saturday afternoon. Dale has Thorpedo Anna in the Travers. Timmy has Door Knock and Fierceness in the Travers, and Scylla in the Ballerina. So things will be shaken up at the top of the leaderboard after today's races. Guys, time for the West Point of the Week, and Dale and Tim get to make their final point here of the program. Don't forget that owning a racehorse with West Point Thoroughbreds is a lifestyle investment for your entire family. It's a smart, fun way for new owners to enjoy being an instant insider and access the major leagues of racing for a fraction of the cost of doing it alone. West Point Thoroughbreds, the gold standard in racing partnerships. Timmy, take it away.
This is my last week at Saratoga. I'm going to Kentucky Downs next week to work down there. And I just want to thank the Thoroughbred Daily News that hired me for this summer for the opportunity, and I really had a great time doing the work for them. And I have one more Q&A that I'm doing that I've done for the whole meet. Dale Romans was one of them. And the last one is going to be with Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee that'll drop next week. But I want to thank the TDN, and I'll talk to you next time from Kentucky Downs.
Yeah, it's been a good summer up here with Tim. We had a good dinner Wednesday night. We had our annual dinner, and it was a great time. But my point of the week's a little sad. Anybody who's a fan of First Saturday in May, the movie, we lost Cousin Paul. My cousin and my comrade and my partner everywhere I went. It was my biggest supporter when I started, and he'll be greatly missed. We've been to 40-something derbies together, and Cousin Paul, rest in peace.
Amen to that. Yeah, our condolences, Dale.
Yep.
Guys, we're going to do this all over again next week. Timmy, good luck at the windows, and Dale, grip it and rip it, my friend.
Thank you, bud. Talk to y'all later.
See you later.
If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, you know what to do. So many of you do it every week. Keep them coming. Email your topic or your question to me, Mike@horseracingradio.net, or post it on our social media pages, and we will get it worked in. Dale and Tim love answering your questions, so send them to us so we can include them in the show. I Ask They Answer is presented by the University of Louisville, Equine Industry Program, and the College of Business. I'm back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Hi, Tony. Hey, Matthew. There's a reason why Tony's Steaks and Seafood is my favorite restaurant. It's because I want to feel part of the family. Isn't that right, Tony?
That's right. There's a saying on the wall that I truly believe in. There's always room for one more at our table. We just want you to be part of our family.
And believe me, you will be. It's Tony's Steaks and Seafood right across from Triangle Park. Visit them at TonySteaksandSeafood.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to Dennis Melvin's house. It's time for the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course. Sticking to healthy habits in this kitchen is going to take focus and determination, but it can be done, JB.
He's already entered the snack part of the course, and he's eyeballing a jar of chocolatey candy.
That is tempting right off the start.
Uh-oh, he's reaching, Bill, but he pushes it away.
Great stiff arm.
He's approaching a plate of delicious-looking iced cookies.
Oh, Dennis, you only want one of those.
He blows right by him for the apple.
Oh, the fridge. It's make or break time, JB.
He stares down some rich-looking treats. Uh-oh, looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs the water bottle, and shuts the door with his elbow in record time.
Unbelievable move. I gotta see that again.
And he's out. He even turned off the light.
That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig-Tipton.
Please join me in welcoming Hall of Fame trainer Todd Fincher, Hall of Fame trainer Nick Zito on Trainer Talk. Welcome Hall of Famer Bob Baffert to the program. Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, nice enough to spend some time with us. Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott here on Trainer Talk. Dual Hall of Fame trainer Mark Cassie.
Trainer Talk, the biggest names in horse racing. Wednesdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Here's Mind Frame and Irad Ortiz Jr. going strong. Dornock sent along, but he's lost the lead. Attempts to re-rally. Timberlake in an all-out drive between them. It's Mind Frame confidently handled, switches leads, and gets the cue to go. Dornock is trying hard, but he's left behind in second, fighting back from the inside. Mind Frame, Dornock coming back. They're at it again. The two Belmont first and second place finishers. 1-2, and Dornock stubborn. Dornock wins the Haskell. Presented by Naira Bets. He did it over Mind Frame. Timberlake and just step on it.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Dornock, a winner of the Haskell in his most recent outing. That was Matt Dinnerman with the call. That happened on July 20th for trainer Danny Gargan and jockey Luis Saez. A special day for them and a huge effort. He'll look to duplicate that performance and maybe even take it to the next level coming up in this afternoon's Midsummer Derby. You're going to hear from Danny Gargan here in just a moment. Bonus content for you here on the network, if you will. Danny joined me 1 week after winning the Haskell. It was on our July 27th edition of the Equine Forum, and he had some really interesting things to say about that race, that performance, and about Dornock coming into the Travers. So I want to play an excerpt from that interview for you here this morning. You'll hear that in just a moment, right after I remind you that the September issue of Blood Horse Magazine features 138 pages, including several special features. You can download a copy of the September issue now from the Blood Horse Magazine tablet app via the App Store or Google Play, and order a copy at shop.bloodhorse.com or subscribe today at subscribe.bloodhorse.com. Well, again, Danny Gargan looking to continue his hot hand with Dornock, the Belmont winner, Haskell winner, later today in the Travers Stakes. And here's what he had to say right after that win in the Haskell. Let's start with that Haskell win. Man, this horse is all heart, isn't he?
Yeah, he ran really big. He showed a lot of heart, and we couldn't be more proud of him.
That can't surprise you anymore. When you see him dig in whenever he's challenged in the stretch, that's just become who he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's the type of horse that, you can never give up on. When he gets a clear running, and it's just amazing how he can find another gear and keep fighting.
Is he now the leader in the clubhouse in this 3-year-old division?
Well, right now, but there's a lot left for the year. But right now he's the leader. I mean, I don't think anybody's arguing that. He won the Haskell and the Belmont. And, Misket Dan's out for the rest of the year, and Caesar Gray, he's got to bounce back and show something today in the Jim Dandy. So other than that, those are the three horses that won classic races, and those are the races they judge that off of.
What do you do with him now to get him ready for the Travers?
Just stay out of his way, kind of do the same thing we did going from the Derby to the Belmont. We have the same amount of time, 5 weeks. We'll just do everything, same routines, everything the same. We'll get 2 half miles. I'll bring him back probably 16 to 15 days from the race, get a half mile, and then we'll come back 7 or 8 days from the Travers and get another half mile. And God willing, everything goes our way. He's healthy and sound and gets a good post position, a clean trip, because it'll be a fun day.
Yeah, and you just keep him healthy, right? Keep him healthy and happy, really, is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's fit. He's been running, all year. Just needs maintenance works, nothing special. He shows up. He's got a lot of heart and a lot of determination. Like I said, the post position, the draw, clean trip, that'll be the determining factors. But we all know if he gets those, he's super hard to get past in the lane.
Did I see a post from my good friend Tim Wilkin yesterday? I think he had a picture of Dornoch, and he had talked about the fact that he went to the farm after the race and gets in the hyperbaric chamber that a lot of athletes use to recuperate after a big effort. That's a thing for horses too, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. There's a facility, the GMP farm here in Saratoga. It's right down the road. It's a beautiful facility. They do a wonderful job. We were fighting some skin disease issues with him and stuff like, just skin irritation. And he went out there for a few days, came back in. Everything looks amazing. He looks amazing. He's dappling out. And we're just hoping we can keep him going at the level he's running. And, and if he can move forward, it'd be really amazing. And I think there's more to come from him.
Yeah, that was my next question. There's room to move forward again?
I think so. I mean, as long as he keeps doing like he's doing, I think he came out of this race. He's went back to the track in a gallop today. He looked amazing. I can't really complain about anything. Going to the Belmont, I was a little concerned about skin disease and a few things. And Haskell, he was healthy, moved forward and got healthier. And I think he's come out of the Haskell even better than he came out of the Belmont. So if we just, if everything keeps going our way, we don't get anything to slow us down, I think he could move forward.
Well, he's now won 5 of 9 career starts. He has a couple of seconds in there, too. He's 3 for 5 here in 2024. What has impressed you the most about Dornoch, Danny?
I mean, he's impressive all the time. I mean, I've been impressed from, I said 2 months before he ever ran. He's the best horse I ever trained or been around. And, he's proven that. So every day we've had him, it's been impressive. I mean, he's so athletic, so light on his feet. It's just one of those things where you just, you hope every day that you get lucky and get a horse of that caliber. And, we're just blessed and lucky enough to have him,
Danny, I appreciate the visit, my friend. You're always very accommodating with your time.
Thank you so much.
I think anybody would be very happy to be in the position that Danny and the team are in with Dornoch coming into the Travers this afternoon. A win today pretty much locks up a divisional championship for Dornoch. And that's something that we've talked about on this program over the past couple of months as these horses have continued to work their way toward the Midsummer Derby. And one of the things that I think is so cool is that you get all of the top contenders outside of Mystic Dan and Seize the Gray opting to wait for the Pennsylvania Derby instead of going in the Travers today. But when you're looking at a divisional championship, you get all the top contenders meeting at Saratoga this afternoon for the most part. Again, Mystic Dan, you heard Danny say, out for the season with his injury. We're not going to see him again. Seize the Gray can still find a way to work his way into the conversation, but I think showing up in the Travers today would have been a much stronger option, if you will, for Seize the Gray if he is truly serious about finding his way to an Eclipse Award at the end of the year. However, Sierra Leone, still not out of it. You heard from Chad Brown earlier in the program. Chad talked about this horse still being in the hunt, considering his consistency all year long. And yes, he didn't win one of the 3 Triple Crown events, the Derby, Preakness, or Belmont, but he was right there in 2 of them. beating a nose in the Derby, third, beating a length and a half in the Belmont. So he has some credentials, and a win in the Travers today would go a long way toward putting him back in the conversation. Still needs to do more, though. He would still need another win, maybe over older horses at some point. Maybe it comes in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But he's at least in the conversation. Fierceness, still not out of it. He saved himself with that win in the Jim Dandy. Now he needs to prove that he can put back-to-back winning efforts together for the first time in his career later today. Todd Pletcher, when he joined me before the Jim Dandy, had that clever line when he said that he is hoping that his good race, bad race pattern continues in the Jim Dandy, which it did, and then he hopes that he breaks the pattern in his next start, the Travers Stakes, meaning he will finally have run 2 good races in a row. And it's not like his other races have been all that bad when he doesn't win. He was third in the Holy Bull, although he's a heavy favorite that day. But fierceness needs to, he saved himself with the win in the Jim Dandy, at least in terms of the divisional championship picture. Now, if he wins the Travers Stakes today, he's right back in the conversation. But Dornoch is the horse that can slam the door shut. I think a win by Dornoch in today's Travers cements him as the 3-year-old champion, no matter what happens the rest of the way. How about Thorpedo Anna? I think she's still got Horse of the Year aspirations. Bottom line, this Travers has something for everybody. Post time, 6:10 Eastern. It's race 13. 3:10 for those of you tuning in out on the West Coast. 1.25 miles, and an awful lot on the line in the Travers this afternoon. Been a fun show. My thanks to all of our guests for making it possible, including Ashley Anderson with the TwinSpires Triple Play, Kurt Becker for that great Stroll Through Racing History, Dale and Tim in the previous segment. You heard from Chad Brown. You heard from Mark Edwards and Anna Thorp, the namesake of Thorpedo Anna. Cool show. If you missed any portion, check out the podcast on our site and every podcast platform. My thanks to my producer, Lee Delapina, in our Lexington studios, to Chauncey for handling all of our social media. I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening. Go Steelers.